National of the Year. It's a fabulous idea, and that shows how much India has, gone ahead. We are doing fabulously. And films, as I said right now, that it has taken a transition. We are having good films coming, good artists coming. You see, what was that, before we used to do 4 films together. These days, the actors do only 1 film at a time. So that is a very good thing, because you are just concentrating on 1 film. We were doing 4 films. Sometimes we were doing 2 shifts, 7 to 2 and 2 to 10. So that is the thing which has been very good for the industry. That's what I feel.
So there was no work-life balance for you?
No.
Actor of the Year. By the way, my dear friends, you know, probably I am one of the first ones in the history of NDTV to have this rare, proud honor of announcing and honoring as in the place of a real hero to a reel of my own movie, Srikanth. Without a further ado, with great admiration, love and due respect, the best actor of the year goes to Shri Rajkumar Rao. Please come on to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rajkumar Rao's versatility, dedication to meaningful cinema, and consistent delivery of powerful performances continued in 2024. His recent roles in Srikanth, Mr. and Mrs. Mahi, Stree 2 and Wiki Vidya Ka Wo Wala video showcases his deep commitment to his craft, often transforming himself physically and emotionally to suit the character's demands, making Rajkumar Rao the NDTV Actor of 2024.
जोरदार तालियां राजकुमार के लिए। भाई हम सबके दिलों के राजकुमार भी तो हैं ये। Morning and thanks for staying with NDTV. I'm Arjun Samar Mahendran and this is World 24/7. Now, Donald Trump puts Canada and Mexico tariffs on hold. Meanwhile, there's a devastating car explosion in Syria and an exclusive chat with Indian origin Grammy winner Chandrika Tandon and much more on today's show. But first, here are the headlines. Prime Minister Modi to reportedly embark on 2-day visit to US on February 12th for talks with Donald Trump. Donald Trump agrees to 30-day pause on his controversial tariff threats against Mexico and Canada. Move after both countries take decisive steps to address Washington's border security concerns. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio takes control of USAID, promises to put an end to what he terms the agency's insubordination to President Trump's agenda. EU leaders huddle with UK PM and NATO head, discuss efforts to boost Europe's defences faced with an aggressive Russia as Trump demands allies spend much more. And catch our exclusive conversation with Indian origin Grammy winner Chandrika Tandon. A big story this morning. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is reportedly set to pay a 2-day visit to the US from the 12th of February, this to hold talks with US President Donald Trump on a range of issues, including trade and defense. Now, reports suggest that PM Modi will travel to Washington, D.C. after concluding his 2-day visit to Paris. It would be the Prime Minister's first bilateral visit to the US after Trump became president for a second term. My colleague Mohammad Ghazali joins us for more on this story. Ghazali, good morning. What's the latest you're picking up? And more importantly, what's likely to be on the agenda?
See, we are being told that Prime Minister will be traveling on 12th of February after the Paris summit, the AI summit in Paris, which happens on 10th and 11th. And Prime Minister will be there from 12th to 14th of Feb. And a lot of issues are going to be discussed. As of now, the details from the External Affairs Ministry or the Prime Minister's office has not yet been released. But what we are being told that the burning issues or the issues which have hit the headlines, considering how Mr. Trump has been passing the executive orders in the first 10 to 20 days since he's been into office, will all be discussed when Prime Minister meets him. The visit also shows the kind of significance Mr. Trump has been giving to the voice of the global South, being the only leader from the South region here that Indian Prime Minister will have been invited for this meeting, shows that all the relevant issues, be it the immigration issue, be it the issue of how Mr. Trump has been passing executive orders to cut down on US aid to different agencies, and all those issues which will impact India directly, because we already had the Quad foreign ministers meet immediately just a day after Mr. Trump was sworn in, shows that he holds or gives a lot of significance to India as a reliable partner. But there will be tough issues which Mr. Modi will be discussing with him when it comes to the issue of tariff, when it comes to the issue of illegal immigration, and beyond that, the usual issue of US-India collaboration in different sectors like trade, trade and investment is there, security cooperation is there, you have space technology is there, and there are different avenues which India will try to expand or deepen its relation with the United States, and Prime Minister will be around in Washington to meet Mr. Trump.
Well, thank you so much for that, Ghazali. We'll definitely keep an eye on that visit. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has agreed to a 30-day pause on his controversial tariff threats against Mexico and Canada. Now, this comes after both countries took decisive steps to address his border security concerns. Now, the tariffs initially set to go into effect Tuesday, that's today, threatened to spark an all-out trade war that would have sent shockwaves through North American economies. Now, this would have caused soaring prices and undermining vital trade relationships. Now, following a tense few days, the pause offers a temporary lifeline. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced plans to, in fact, combat drug trafficking and organized crime, while Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum deployed 10,000 National Guard troops to secure the border. My colleague Maha Siddiqui, in fact, gets you the latest on this story.
The US will not be imposing the 25% tariff against Canadian goods and 10% tariff against Canadian energy exported to US temporarily after two conversations between Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and US President Donald Trump on Monday. After the second conversation in the afternoon, Prime Minister Trudeau announced on social media that the pause is for 30 days. And over this period, the two countries will work together to bolster the border against the movement of fentanyl. Here's what Prime Minister Trudeau has promised: a $1.3 billion package to improve the surveillance of the border, which includes improving the technology as well as increasing the number of choppers and drones for better surveillance of the border. Apart from this, 10,000 personnel will be manning the border to arrest the movement of fentanyl. A fentanyl czar will also be appointed, is something that the Canadian side has announced, a significant announcement, which appears that this office is going to be coordinating with the US as well as agencies within Canada to prevent the movement of the opioid. Apart from this, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had, remember, already said that if push comes to shove, Canada will impose reciprocal tariffs against US goods worth $155 billion, 25% tariff, and take this fight forward. For the moment, this fight has been paused, but the provinces in Canada were also ready to take on the fight, with the Ontario Premier Doug Ford saying that his province will snap ties with Elon Musk Starlink, as well as saying that the government will not award any contracts to US agencies. The Quebec Premier had also said that the province of Quebec will also fight this fight with the US, and had said that the alcohol outlet SAQ will not be keeping any of the US products on its shelf henceforth. However, for the moment, it appears that the situation has been curtailed. That is, an all-out trade war between the two neighbors has been arrested for the time being, temporarily for 30 days. How things pan out post that remains to be seen, because US President Donald Trump is not only asking Canada to act against the movement of fentanyl against the border, but also the movement of illegal migrants against the border, apart from the fact that he also wants parity on trade, that is to reduce the trade deficit with Canada, especially, it appears, in the energy sector, where Canada has an upper hand.
Meanwhile, in response to Donald Trump's threat to impose harsh tariffs, European leaders are drawing the line in sand. French President Emmanuel Macron declared that Europe would not back down if its commercial interests were indeed threatened. Now, he emphasized the need for the EU to act with strength and unity. Meanwhile, Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz echoed this statement, insisting that while the European Union was prepared to retaliate, cooperation remained the goal. However, the stakes are high. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk warned that a trade would be a complete mistake, urging both sides to keep their focus on bigger threats from Russia and China. Now, these statements come right a day before, rather hours before, Trump's planned tariffs were in fact supposed to go live on Tuesday, and now they have been halted, or paused at least to say, for 1 month. But it's yet still to be known that what awaits us. For more on this, we are joined by David Clay Johnston from New York. He is a professor of public policy at the Rochester Institute of Technology. Really appreciate you joining us, Professor, taking out time this early in the morning. My first question to you, get straight to the money. With the new 30-day pause, do you really think Trump is just trying to sort of buy time, or is he genuinely looking at a long-term solution?
Well, Donald doesn't think long-term strategically. I've covered the man for 37 years, and he just doesn't think long-term like that. What happened here is he blinked. Both Canada and Mexico made it clear they would take retaliatory actions that would be very damaging to American business. And so Donald, for the moment, has backed off. He's also starting to get kickback from Americans about tariffs, because tariffs raise the prices not just of imported goods, but of any domestic manufactured good that is similar, because manufacturers within the US would raise prices to almost the level of the tariff to good. It's really a scheme to take money out of the pockets of consumers and deepen the pockets of those who own manufacturing companies.
Well, I guess on yesterday's bulletin had something sharp to say. He said, this is no way to even run a railroad, let alone international economy. On that note, my second question to you, Professor, how significant is this temporary pause? Especially given the looming uncertainty, even in global markets. We've seen Asian markets tank, the rupee is down. How important is this pause?
Well, markets will bounce around because Donald will bounce around. However, uncertainty is something business owners detest. And I've been a business owner as well as a journalist and a professor. You want certainty. And with Donald Trump, what you have is a lot of lack of certainty. And we're seeing a number of prominent American billionaire investors, Warren Buffett, Ray Dalio, and others, pulling money out of the stock markets and putting it into cash, which tells you they think there's a big chance the economy will suddenly go south or the market will drop sharply, and they want to be able to buy back in at a lower price. And Donald's erratic behavior and uncertain plans contribute to that kind of thinking.
Now, we've been speaking about Mexico and Canada, Professor, but it's not only Mexico and Canada. In fact, the European Union has also vowed a firm response to US tariffs. Now, how likely is it that the European Union or Europe will actually retaliate? And where does that matter in the bigger scheme of things, the larger scheme of things, in the US-EU relations?
Well, if Trump actually imposes additional tariffs, particularly ones that don't have some logical reason to them because of a specific industry matter, you can expect there will be retaliatory tariffs. That's how trade works when you get into a trade war. The European Union is not going to just let Trump have a one-sided attack on them. And keep in mind, Donald Trump has this bizarre idea that the foreign countries pay tariffs. They don't. Consumers in the country that imposes the tariff pay the tariffs. So you should absolutely expect the EU will in some way retaliate. They may do so in a very smart and sophisticated way, which is what I would expect, but they might also just put blanket tariffs on US goods, which will depress US exports.
Taking from that last point you made, Professor, a very valid point, in fact, my last question to you, how might these proposed tariffs, in fact, impact American businesses in turn?
Well, the number one thing if tariffs are imposed is that American producers of the same or similar products will raise prices. Imagine you owned an Indian car company. You sold cars in the US wholesale for $10,000 each and $1,000 profit. Trump slaps a 60% tariff on Indian cars. Your cars will now cost $16,000. I own an American car company, David's Cars. I'm going to raise my price to $15,000 because your car now costs $16,000. And even if I sell only half as many cars, I'll make 3 times the profit because the tariff will increase my profit per car to $6,000 from $1,000. That's how tariffs work. Tariffs are important for developing countries. The US used them early in its history when it was a developing country. But for a mature economy like the United States, tariffs are simply a scheme to pick the pockets of consumers on behalf of the class that owns manufacturing companies.
Well, thank you so much for that, Professor. Only time will tell how Trump's gamble pays off. It's not looking too good at the moment. Moving on, in yet another dramatic power shift, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, in fact, announced on Monday that he had taken control of the US Agency for International Development, commonly known as USAID. Now, Rubio is promising to put an end to what he calls the agency's quote-unquote insubordination to President Trump's agenda. Now, the move comes after Elon Musk vowed to, in fact, dismantle USAID entirely, describing it as a criminal organization and calling for its closure. Now, the agency's website went offline over the weekend, and many of its employees, in fact, were locked out of their offices on Monday as part of Musk's radical push to shrink the government.
I'm the acting director of USAID. I've delegated that authority to someone, but I stay in touch with him. And again, our goal was to go in and align our foreign aid to the national interest.
Meanwhile, we have an important update from the ongoing Ukraine war. A bomb has exploded in the lobby of a luxury apartment block in Moscow, killing a pro-Russian paramilitary leader from eastern Ukraine alongside his bodyguard. Now, Russia's TASS news agency, citing security services, reports that the blast was an attack on Armen Sakskian, the head of the Boxing Federation in Russia's occupied Donetsk region, and he is also the founder of a battalion fighting against Ukraine. Now, Sakskian, who was wanted, in fact, in Ukraine, has had a long history of aiding pro-Russian forces in the country. No organization has taken responsibility of the assassination till now. Over in West Asia, a car bomb exploded in Mabji, a city in the northern part of Syria, on Monday, the 3rd of February, killing at least 19 people. This marks the second such attack in the city in just 3 days, after Saturday's blast and the deadliest in Syria since Bashar al-Assad's ouster from power in December 2024. The blast reportedly took place about 30 kilometers from Turkey's border, and the victims included 18 women and 1 man. According to local Syrian civil defense, another 15 women were wounded. Some of them are even in critical condition. Well, it's time to slip into a short break. I'll see you on the other side.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
Now we move on to the next category, which is the Youth Icon of the Year. And for this, मैं एक बार फिर से request करूँगी आशा पारेख जी का स्टेज पर आने के लिए, और साथ ही इनवाइट करेंगे मयंक अग्रवाल जी को, CEO Gallant Group of Industries, to join us on stage for this next category of awards.
Ananya Pandey.
Congratulations, Ananya. And Ananya Pandey, actor, is getting this award for her advocacy work on combating cyberbullying, growing achievements in the film industry, and strong influence on social media. And that's what makes Ananya Pandey NDTV Youth Icon of the Year 2024. She represents a blend of modern values, relatability, and a commitment to meaningful causes, which are essential qualities for inspiring today's youth.
Congratulations, very many
Thank
congratulations.
you. Thank
And
you.
Ananya, there are just a few questions for
Yes.
you. You've, diverse characters, and you've made a shift from big screen to OTT. Big superstars have done their shift. What is your opinion on that, and what's your next move?
Firstly, I just want to thank NDTV for this award. It's truly very, very humbling, and to get it from Asha Parekh ji, I'm such a big fan of your work, so this is a pinch me moment for sure. I don't believe any screen is too big or small. It's a screen at the end of the day, and the world is developing so fast. There's so many changes that are being made, so I think we're all just keeping up with the times.
Ananya, the fact is that 2024, this year has been phenomenal for you. One success after another. Kahan Kho Gaye Hum, Call Me Bae, CTRL. How does it feel to have multiple successes in one single year?
It's really a dream come true. I really think this year for me, more than ever, I felt very connected to my fans with Kho Gaye Hum Kahan and Call Me Bae and Control. I've done movies in the past, but this is the first time that I felt true love from the audience. And, all these films and shows have been conversation starters. People have not just come up to me and said that they like my work, but how my work has kind of made them feel seen or represented on screen. And for an actor, I think that's a huge victory for me.
So Asha ji is here on stage, and sometimes back मैंने आपसे ये पूछा था कि आज के दौर में स्टारडम कैसे हैंडल करना है, तो अनन्या आपके साथ हैं जो स्टारडम को एक अलग तरीके से हैंडल कर रही हैं. कुछ एडवाइस अनन्या के लिए, या अनन्या आपको आशा जी से कुछ पूछना है?
जी, आप प्लीज़ बताइए, आप मुझे एडवाइस दीजिए प्लीज़.
क्या बताऊं?
कुछ भी, आप कुछ भी बताइए, मैं ले लूँगी.
Sincerity, hard work takes you in a long way. That's what I...
Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching World 24/7. Now, from Triveni's groundbreaking fusion of ancient Indian sounds to her powerful reflection of diverse cultures, she's shown us when worlds collide, in fact, beauty is born. Chandrika Tandon, the 70-year-old Grammy-winning artist, joins us to share her remarkable journey. Now, let's dive into this conversation where we celebrate her and look ahead to the limitless horizons that await. Welcome, Chandrika. It's indeed an honor to have you with us. Let me begin with the million-dollar question. Winning a Grammy for Triveni must have been a surreal moment. Can you take us, and all our viewers, in fact, back to that instant moment? What were you feeling when they announced your name?
So, in a sense, it was almost like many of our friends and many of my friends were actually nominated before. Some won, some didn't. So we were just watching this whole panorama play out. And then when our turn came, it was this truly surreal is the word for it, because the sound in the hall was extraordinary. People erupted in claps and joy when our name came up, which was wonderful. It's a great testament to the fact that we had a lot of people supporting the album, because most of the hall were Grammy voters and others. So people just shouted, and then we just jumped up and down in joy to go up to the stage.
But Chandrika, you also said, and I remember I remember vividly, that music spreads joy and laughter even in our darkest days. Can you recall a particular moment in your life when music truly lifted your spirit during a challenging time?
Music has been so critical to my life, and it's not just in challenging times. It really, when I was very young, Arjun, I would have many, many chores and many jobs, and I can't remember a single job I did, but I can tell you what song I was singing at that time. Music's always been connected to experiences, and the happiest moments of my life have always been to do with music, which is the reason about 23 years ago, I decided to really build music in much more intentionally into my life, because to make me complete, music was critical to that. Because until then, I was so much in the business world, and music was peripheral, and I wanted to make it much more center stage. So there were many instances, happy, sad. I celebrated joys, I celebrated boyfriends, I celebrated the breakups, I celebrated sad moments and happy moments with music, with a song. Whether it's Roberta Flack's Killing Me Softly, or MS Subbulakshmi's Suprapadam, or the Rudram to take me through difficult periods, I still use all the mantras and the chants to heal me.
Well, taking a page from your acceptance speech last evening, I say thank you, Chandrika. Thank you for the music. And on that note, that's all we have for you today. Take care and have a wonderful day.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
Joining us today is somebody whose journey in Indian cinema is almost parallel to independent India's journey. Almost 7-8 decades that she has acted, directed, censored Indian cinema. She has been a vital part, a vital cog of India's journey through all these 7-8 decades. Asha Parekh, welcome to NDTV.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Asha ji, you were part of the golden era of Indian cinema, worked with the best filmmakers, iconic actors. How do you look at your own journey?
Well, it's been a very long journey, and I enjoyed being where I was, and the adulation of the fans was really very great, and I enjoyed it.
And more than the enjoyment, you contributed immensely to the growth of Indian cinema through, the years that it was actually growing up.
Yeah, it was a golden era, I would say, and we had lovely music, we had lovely lyrics, very good directors, very good cameramen. Not that we don't have them now, but at that time it was a different thing altogether.
And 1960s and 1970s, there was a lot of larger than life, depiction in cinema. How did you see the transition? I mean, your own journey and the transition of Indian cinema.
Well, the films which I did were happy-go-lucky cinema.
Like you.
Yes, and the transition which has taken place has been good. I think so. We are coming out with more realistic films, and sometimes the films are not good because they don't have a good story, a good script. That's what I feel. In our times, the dialogues were very beautiful. I remember "Main Tulsi Tere Aangan Ki." Dr. Saab had written such fabulous dialogues that I think it was one of the best films of my life.
And Kati Patang?
Yes, Kati Patang also. That was Gulshan Nanda's story. And it was a little bit of a shift from my glamour image into doing some serious roles.
And then breaking of taboos, you know. You were depicting a subject which was very taboo during those days.
Yes.
So, you know, from being this glam queen to those kind of roles, I mean, how did you dabble through all those genres?
Well, it wasn't very difficult, but as such, people thought that I was just a glamour girl and not a good artist. So I had to prove myself that no, I can act. And that started with Do Badan. Not from Kati Patang, but Do Badan.
But tell us, Asha ji, your journey in Indian cinema is almost like, 7 decades plus journey. See, India also changed a lot, Bollywood changed a lot.
Yes.
How do you see the transition of Indian cinema, transition of India as a country where we are moving in the direction that we are moving, as both as an iconic participant in that journey and then as an observer who can today have the luxury of watching it from a distance?
Well, as you people have come out with the National of the Year, it's a fabulous idea, and that shows how much India has, gone ahead. We are doing fabulously. And films, as I said right now, that it has taken a transition. We are having good films coming, good artists coming. You see, what was that, before we used to do 4 films together. These days, the actors do only 1.
Hello and good morning. Welcome to Breakfast Show. I'm Radhika Ramaswamy joining you from Mumbai studios. We will have Maria also joining us from Parliament to give us a lowdown on what is to be expected in Parliament today, and ruckus and showdown of course expected. Besides that, Delhi gears up for big election day tomorrow, and on international updates, Trump pauses tariff on Mexico and Canada. So we have lots lined up, but first the headlines. Parliament showdown, Prime Minister's reply on motion of thanks today. In fact, more ruckus expected in Parliament. Prime Minister Modi likely to visit the US next week. Sources say wide-ranging talks with President Trump expected. Less than 24 hours for crucial Delhi polls. Curtain on campaign over to voters now. Trump pauses Canada and Mexico tariffs. Tariffs paused within hours of each other. Special focus on AI and future deep-seek. What does the future behold? We have special discussion on the same. NDTV exclusive with Reese Witherspoon and Will Ferrell. Hollywood icons speak exclusively to NDTV. In Parliament, showdown expected. Yesterday, of course, the opposition cornered government over various issues, including Kumbh Stampede. Rahul Gandhi also raising a China border issue, and even Maharashtra voting, alleging fraud in a voters list. Today, of course, Prime Minister Modi expected to respond, maybe give a rebuttal of sorts. Perhaps we have Maria, who will give us all the lowdown. She's joining us from Parliament to get us all the updates on what can be expected today. Over to you, Maria.
Thank you, Radhika, and good morning to the viewers of NDTV. We are coming to you live from Vijay Chowk, which is very close to the new Parliament of India, where all the activities or action is playing out these days. Rahul Gandhi, while speaking on the motion of thanks of the President, did rake up a series of issues. But of course, what he said in the context of Chinese incursion, the denial, what he said was that efforts were being made by External Affairs Minister to get an invitation for the Prime Minister for attending the inauguration of Donald Trump. That and another issue of voter discrepancy has become the talking point. In fact, that was taken up by Parliamentary Affairs Minister Mr. Kiren Rijiju later with the Speaker. Certain portions of Rahul Gandhi's speech is likely to be expunged, is what the sense certainly is. But at the moment today, all eyes will be on the Prime Minister as he replies to the motion of thanks. That is likely to happen around 5 p.m. Let me bring in Sajjan. Sajjan, good morning to you. The Delhi weather is certainly gloomy, but inside Parliament we are seeing a lot of heated discussion.
Opposition.
Sajjan, if you heard me.
Yeah. Audible. Good morning, Maria. Yes, precisely. I mean, heat inside the
Morning.
Parliament
Please go ahead.
Is increasing, and therefore, yesterday, particularly Rahul Gandhi's speech was clearly that he is a man with his own mission. I mean, from attacking government on the China issue to try to ridicule on the US president's inauguration and government of India trying to get an invitation, and to hilariously linking AI with caste census, So Rahul Gandhi seemed to consistently proceed with his own agenda. And that also shows that the era of protest that we are witnessing and intensification in the last couple of years is going to increase. That is there. Also, we are going to witness that from the government side, there is an attempt to win over the middle class that was expected because there was a feedback. While the opposition is going to clamor about the social segments of OBCs, Dalits, tribals, and minority, etc. So we do find that there are parallel agendas wherein they are talking at each other. And this sort of increasing political divide, at least inside the parliament, is going to be there. But then there are also, we find that there were some admissions that, compared to the past, if you go for the content and the tone analysis, this time, while the issue divergence was there, the attack was there was some softening. When Rahul Gandhi was saying that Prime Minister is at least trying on certain issues, but the success is not seen. So you also find that some sort of, rapprochement is there despite the divergences. Therefore, the discussion inside the parliament and the ambience is expected to be confrontationist. Certainly, there were personal remarks against the Prime Minister, and continuously from the Treasury bench sided, there were protests to those remarks about the verification and the factfulness of those remarks. And therefore, we do expect that the Treasury benches today also would be geared up, to go more aggressive on the opposition. And therefore, do expect that while the temperature outside is gloomy, the temperature inside will increase and heat up. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and interestingly, Sajjan, what we have seen is that this politics of confrontation, as we say, is only increasing. When the 18th Lok Sabha started in the month of July, there was this sense that perhaps the Treasury benches will repeatedly extend an olive branch to the opposition, that they would meet them halfway, but that certainly is not happening. And particularly after the victories in the state of Haryana and also in the state of Maharashtra, there is a completely new dynamics which is playing out inside Parliament, which each and every reaction of Rahul Gandhi, other opposition leaders, being countered rather aggressively. But Sajjan, you know, whenever Prime Minister has spoken, in fact, he has spoken on all occasions ever since Mr. Modi became the Prime Minister in 2014, whenever he has replied to the motion of thanks, we have seen how he has given a sense of direction to his party, and particularly because in a day from now, Delhi goes to polls. This is a battle for prestige. It's the battle for the national capital, a high-stakes battle, as we say.
Yes, precisely. Prime Minister has been leading and giving a direction to his party. And I mean, in the last, since 2014, it seemed that while he is taking the larger framework, the other BJP leaders like Amit Shah and others, they are giving the granular detail and sort of a strategic direction. And Prime Minister just, I mean, is giving the add-on factor. But in the last 1.5 years, we have seen that Prime Minister, one, has started giving a very granular, directional, Herculean, speech inside the parliament, outside the parliament, and that a sort of a leading from the front. Two, when it comes to Delhi election, there are a couple of things. One, we do see on the ground there is a class divide. This is like middle class versus the rest that is there. Also, this time what we are witnessing, that while there is a sense of anti-incumbency in the last 10 years against the incumbent Aam Aadmi Party, middle class is angry because of the party's failure to deliver on the governance and the civic infrastructure front. Also, the sort of a confrontationist attitude with the central government, which is seen as abandoning or treating Delhi's governance as a secondary issue. So, middle class is consolidating against the Aam Aadmi Party. However, when you go to the lower middle class, to the above poverty line population and BPL or the poor segments, who are primarily residing in the unauthorized colony, jhuggi jhopris, resettlement camps, and rural and urban villages. Therein you find that while there is a lack of enthusiasm for the Aam Aadmi Party, but because they perceive themselves as the beneficiary of many populist schemes, which they perceive is because of the incumbent, despite many complaints that you hear, we do not see that they are abandoning the incumbent. And therefore, this time, while Aam Aadmi Party is expected to lose a significant percentage of votes and seats to the BJP, we are not sure that yet BJP is in a position to cross the Rubicon, that is attaining the magic number 36, while the BJP leadership is quite confident. But nevertheless, we have to keep in mind that this time, unlike 2020 assembly election, the election is overwhelmingly on the material policies, wherein be it Congress, Aam Aadmi Party and BJP, they all are making claims in the same direction, and that direction is about more freebies, more material promises. So this is the plank of Aam Aadmi Party. So when you contest Delhi election on the plank of Aam Aadmi Party, it would be very difficult to dislodge a party which is also trying to consolidate a non-middle class segment of the electorate. And therefore, what we are witnessing, that while middle class, some of the local communities like Punjabi Hindus, also Jats, etc., are consolidating largely behind the BJP, we still find that overwhelming number of the Purvanchalis, who constitute the poor and lower middle class segments, the consolidation of the Muslims, who are 13%, Dalits, who are 16 to 17%, and also among the Sikh, we do find a class divide. Among the Gujars, we find that they are also divided. So overall, we think that this time there is no enthusiasm for the Aam Aadmi Party. Middle class is consolidating behind the BJP. But when you go for the divide, we find that still Aam Aadmi Party is, this is our study, is having slight edge vis-a-vis the challenger.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Sajjan, this morning. There's another piece of breaking news which is coming in now. In fact, we broke that story last evening with regards to Prime Minister Modi's US visit and his meeting, which is scheduled with Donald Trump on 13th of February. Let me cut across to Ghazali, who will be joining us any moment. What we can tell our viewers at the moment is that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is likely to meet US President Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. on 13th of February. And this is a significant development because only last week the two leaders did have a conversation in which Prime Minister Modi and Donald Trump spoke about bilateral issues and expressed the enthusiasm in working in complete coordination. Ghazali is joining us. So it's official now, Ghazali, that Prime Minister Modi will be traveling in the second week of February?
Yeah, Prime Minister will be in United States on Feb 12, rightly after the Paris summit, the AI summit in Paris. And this this meeting is going to be very significant considering the way Mr. Trump is executing, issuing all those executive orders, and most of them is also going to impact India as well. We know how he has issued orders on illegal immigration. Then you have the tariffs to most of the nations who have like China, Mexico, and then Canada, and then also Mr. Trump is also sort of sending out mixed signals. First, he's almost using that carrot and stick approach. First, he's threatening it, then he's backing it down or pausing those threats for 1 month, as he did it with Mexico and Canada. India's Prime Minister will be there to meet him, and there will be pressing issues which he will be discussing with him. Obviously, the illegal immigration issue is one. Halting the funds to all those U.S. agencies which operates in different countries should be the another one. And Indian Prime Minister will have to discuss other areas where U.S. and India have deep cooperation for years now, be it space, be it technology, be it defense sector. And even in the inaugural, or say the first time when Prime Minister Modi spoke with Mr. Trump on a phone call, congratulating him for his victory, Mr. Trump had also stressed that perhaps the significance of India buying more for its defense sector from US is very significant. So Mr. Trump means business, and in this particular trip, all these issues will come under discussion.
The Indian side, Ghazali, has been keen on an early engagement between the two leaders. And that's what it appears because Donald Trump's inauguration happened on 20th of January. And in less than a month, you have an important engagement with Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
And see, Dr. Jaishankar, our External Affairs Minister, was working for this entire meeting because he was there in US even before the inaugural ceremony took place. Then he was there to represent India in the inaugural ceremony, and later he said that how Mr. Trump was very keen to have an Indian representative or Indian representation in the inaugural ceremony. And just a day after, the very next day after the inaugural ceremony, we saw that how the foreign ministers, Quad foreign ministers meet happened. Dr. Jaishankar was part of that along with his counterparts from Australia and Japan, who met the foreign minister of the United States, or say the Secretary of State, then with the NSA and other top officials. And that is when it came out that perhaps all the work is going on to ensure meeting of Prime Minister Modi with Mr. Trump very soon. And then this is happening, and this is going to be very significant because Mr. Modi will be among the top 4-5 leaders who are going to meet Mr. Netanyahu. Is already in Washington. He is scheduled to meet him today. Then we have Jordan's king. We have leaders from other 2 countries who are going to meet before Mr. Modi meets Trump. So certainly, as India considers itself a voice of global South, it shows that how Mr. Modi also gives that relevance to this particular region of the world, considering that India is partner in Quad, how Mr. Trump wants to minimize the impact of China or influence of China in the region. And that is why India becomes a very significant partner for that reason.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Ghazali, this morning. With that, it's a wrap from us. Over to you in the studio, Radhika.
All right, thank you, Maria. We'll keep coming back to you. Looks like Prime Minister Modi is all set to respond in the Parliament today, so we will get all that updates as well. But let's move on now. This is to do with Delhi polls. Curtains have come down on a high-octane Delhi election campaign, with all parties fielding their big guns in the final dash to woo voters. In fact, Aam Aadmi Party chief Arvind Kejriwal took out a roadshow. Top union ministers campaign for the BJP. In fact, Congress MP Priyanka Gandhi also conducted a door-to-door campaigns. In fact, Delhi going to vote on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. Let's go straight across to Shreya. Shreya, you've been covering a Delhi poll since day one now. As far as this year is concerned, it was an intense high decibel campaign in Delhi, just 24 hours to go now. The big question really is, will Aam Aadmi Party get a third term? Will BJP make a comeback? Or can Congress regain its lost foothold?
Of course, to answer that question, I am here at Lajpat Nagar's famous eatery, Moolchand's Paratha, to speak to people here, to speak to the locals here. What do they think about the upcoming Delhi Assembly elections? Sir, कल चुनाव है, क्या लगता है क्या होने वाला है?
चुनाव बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है इस बार बहुत अच्छी तगड़ी कंपटीशन है बीजेपी और कांग्रेस के बीच में. आप तो नहीं आएगी, ये तो पक्का है.
सर, आपको क्या लगता है?
जहाँ तक आप आ सकती है, क्योंकि आपने किया है यहाँ पे.
आप खुश हो with the kind of work Mr. Kejriwal has done in the Delhi?
हाँ जी, बिल्कुल.
What kind of work do you think has been substantially done by Aam Aadmi Party?
Like इन्होंने इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का भी बहुत वो करा, तो उसके चक्कर में बहुत लोग जो है उसके करेंगे सपोर्ट उसके चक्कर में.
Right, and I'll also ask my camera person to show the legendary parathas here that are being made. Of course, these are generously stuffed parathas with the tangy pickles and the creamy curd. It also makes me feel very nostalgic because my college, Lady Shri Ram College, is just a short walk from here, and I'm also joined by some other people here who are gorging on the delicious parathas here. I'll ask my camera person to come and zoom in on the parathas while I talk to them. Sir, क्या लगता है इस बार के इलेक्शंस में क्या होने वाला है?
इस बार जो भी होगा कुछ अलग ही होगा. इस बार तक तो अभी तक तो केजरीवाल की सरकार थी. जो जनता है अभी केजरीवाल से इतनी खुश नहीं है. अब कुछ बदलाव चाहते हैं.
क्यों खुश नहीं है सर?
जी, मैं संगम नहर एरिया में रहता हूँ. वहाँ पर नाली सड़कें की जो सुविधा होनी चाहिए थे उस प्रकार के नहीं है. रोड ख़राब है, नाली का पानी रोड पे बह रहा है, कीचड़ है, बारिश हो जाती है उसमें भी बहुत दिक्कत हो जाती. तो इस वजह से मैं केजरीवाल सरकार से खुश नहीं.
तो आप बोल रहे हो कि बीजेपी और कांग्रेस का तगड़ा फाइट होने वाला है और लोग थोड़ा बीजेपी की तरफ फेवर करें, ये लगता है आपको?
सॉरी,
बीजेपी की तरफ फेवर करें.
हाँ जी, सब.
And I'm also joined by a very young person here. What do you think? For how long have you been living in Delhi?
Few months.
Few months. Do you like the infrastructural developments that have taken place?
Sure, the metro stations are very clean actually. And
what do you think about women's security?
I don't know about that. I have not traveled so much in Delhi.
सर, आपको क्या लगता है कल चुनाव है, कल
केजरीवाल given benefit to the poor and pensions etc.
But sir, now BJP and Congress, they are also offering the same freebie.
They are only saying.
They are only saying. But you think that Mr. Kejriwal will deliver?
Yeah, please.
So, of course, as you heard from the people, that they are divided, but there is a level of dissatisfaction also with the kind of work that Aam Aadmi Party has done and the kind of work that are yet to be done, the unresolved civic issues that continue to plague the national capital. Tomorrow is the D-Day. It is over to the voters to decide who will continue to be in power or who will bring a comeback, be it Congress or BJP. They have been out of power for years now, and while we continue to enjoy the Moolchand paratha here and sip on some of the hot tea here, the piping hot tea here, the voters are gearing up to cast their vote tomorrow. And yesterday we saw high octane campaigning coming to an end, the political leaders giving their final attempt to woo the voters. Now it is going to be over to the voters to decide who will come to power in the national capital, and the results will be on the 8th of February.
Right, Shreya, thank you for giving us that chat around chai and paratha and giving us a sense of the mood surrounding the voters just ahead of polls. Of course, Delhi going to polls tomorrow. Let's move on now. This is Development from Telangana in a significant move. The Telangana Assembly is convening a special session today to deliberate on the state's ongoing caste census. Initiated on November, this comprehensive socio-economic and caste survey involves approximately 80,000 enumerators conducting door-to-door data collection across Telangana. In fact, Chief Minister Revant Reddy is expected to table the caste census and SC sub-categorization report in the Assembly soon after the session begins at 11 a.m. and initiate this debate. Of course, this is a crucial day as far as Telangana is concerned. Government all expected to table and debate on the caste survey report in the special session. Of course, the Assembly's special session will begin at 11 a.m. Chief Minister Revant Reddy is expected to table the caste census report as well as SC sub-categorization report in the Assembly today. In fact, this is a significant move as far as Telangana is concerned. The Telangana Assembly all set to convene a special session today to discuss and deliberate on the state's ongoing caste census. In fact, this was something that was initiated on November 6, 2024. It went on for a couple of months, after which, of course, the caste survey report is out. In fact, Telangana is the third state after Bihar and Karnataka to conduct this caste survey. The report will be submitted to the cabinet for approval, and of course a special assembly session all set to discuss it. And another important report, as I said, on SC sub-categorization has also been submitted. Let's go straight across to Uma. Uma, crucial day as government will table and debate caste survey report in the special session. We believe some resolution could also be introduced during the session. Take us through what can be expected. During the session, take us through what can be expected.
So the caste survey report has been submitted to the Cabinet Subcommittee Chairperson, Mr. Uttam Kumar Reddy, and another report on SC sub-categorization has also now been submitted by the one-man judicial committee headed by retired High Court Judge Shamim Akhtar to the Cabinet subcommittee that is once again headed by Uttam Kumar Reddy. And both these reports are to be placed before the Cabinet that will meet at 10 a.m. today, and they will discuss the report of both these committees, both the survey, caste survey, as well as the SC sub-categorization. And then the special session of the House is being called, where the discussion will happen. The broad outlines of this survey report suggest that there are about 46.25 non-Muslim backward class population, and there is about 10% of Muslim population which will belong to the backward classes as well. So overall, it is supposed to be about 56.25% of backward classes in Telangana's population, which has been estimated at 3.7 crore. And what the survey says is that they were not able to cover about 16 lakh people, which means 3 crore 54 lakh people had actually participated in this survey. The broad outlines is that you have an SC population of about 17%, ST population of about 10%, and overall, if you see, the other categories which perhaps will not be eligible for reservation comes to about 16%, which means about 84% of Telangana's population is said to be vulnerable sections which would require or which would demand reservation. The controversies, or rather the criticism, has come of the caste survey already from both the BRS as well as the BJP, both of whom are alleging that there are some problems with the data that's been presented by the caste survey, and they are saying or claiming that the backward classes numbers have actually been shrunk by this particular caste survey that was commissioned by the Congress in February last year, and it was a 50-day exercise in which about 94,000 enumerators and supervisors had carried out this household survey, and which also took data not just about caste, but it also took data about educational status, socio-economic status, about the kind of political posts that they may be holding, the employment as well. So all of that is very, very important data which the government claims will be used to direct resources in a better manner. As you know, it's a pre-poll promise of the Congress that they will increase reservations according to the representation of the population, which means Rahul Gandhi has been saying, Jitni Abadi, Utni Bagirdari, and that is what the Congress is going to do. Two challenges. Last point, that the Congress is saying, had claimed that they would be putting in this BC reservation before the local body elections come in this year, and whether they are able to do it, increase BC reservation from 23% to 42%, and also give 42% of the civil contracts, building and maintenance to the BCs. That will be challenges for the government. Back to you.
Right. Right, Uma, important data there in that CAST survey, as you've been pointing out. That will be the focus in that special session today. We will keep coming back to you. Thank you for all those details. Right, with that, we'll slip into a short break. More news and updates on the other side.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
Actor of the Year. By the way, my dear friends, you know, probably I am one of the first ones in the history of NDTV to have this rare, proud honor of announcing and honoring as in the place of a real hero to a reel of my own movie Shrikant. Without a further ado, with great admiration, love and due respect, the best actor of the year goes to Shri Rajkumar Rao. Please come on to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rajkumar Rao's versatility, dedication to meaningful cinema and consistent delivery of powerful performances continued in 2024. His recent roles in Shrikant, Mr. and Mrs. Mahi, Stree 2 and Wiki Vidya Ka Wo Wala video showcases his deep commitment to his craft, often transforming himself physically and emotionally to suit the character's demands, making Rajkumar Rao the NDTV Actor of 2024.
जोरदार तालियां राजकुमार के लिए। भाई हम सब के दिलों के राजकुमार भी तो हैं ये। राजकुमार, आपसे पूछना चाहेंगे हम, 2024 मेरे ख्याल से आपके जीवन का सबसे सुनहरा साल आप इसको मानेंगे?
Well, definitely. First of all, thank you so much, NDTV. Thank you, sir. Thank you, jury. Thank you, Shrikant, the real Shrikant, for giving us your life story and for giving me this opportunity to play you on screen, because it was one of the most challenging parts. But I had so much fun because when there are challenges, then only it's fun. Otherwise, it gets very monotonous, very boring.
आपने तो अपॉर्चुनिटी छीन लिया, नहीं तो मैं खुद प्ले करता था यार।
नहीं, प्लीज कुछ काम हमें भी करने दो। आप सब कुछ करोगे तो फिर हम क्या करेंगे?
नहीं, सीक्वल 2 में हम दोनों लड़ेंगे।
Done.
किसको अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलेगा, किसका लुक बेटर होगा, देखेंगे ना।
Done. But yeah, 2024 बहुत ही अच्छा रहा. I think God has been really kind. This is my second Indian of the Year. I received it in 2017 because that was also a fabulous year. But I want every year to be a fabulous year for our cinema, for our stories. I wish कि हम लोग अच्छी कहानियां कहें, अच्छा content.
Evolving at an unprecedented pace, and the competition in the space is heating up. With the rise of DeepSeek, a new AI powerhouse, the question on everybody's mind is, are we witnessing a game changer in the AI industry? And more importantly, how will harnessing AI shape the future of businesses, creativity, and even our daily lives? To answer these questions, we're joined by Shruti Mishra. She's the co-founder of Quant Play and AI educator. Thank you, Shruti, for joining us on this discussion. My first question to you is, AI competition is, of course, more intense than ever with new players like DeepSeek emerging. So how do you see this shaping the industry? Do you believe that growing competition would mean rapid advancements in AI space?
Thank you, Radhika, for having me over here today. AI tools are just like any other technology. I would say they are like double-edged swords. And while they can generate a lot of information quickly, it does help us in our day-to-day work, making us more efficient. And nowadays, as we all know, there are multiple tools coming from China, like Quen is also there. It got released lately just after the DeepSeek latest model. And then OpenAI is also releasing a lot of new model lately. So definitely there is a lot of competition heating up. But yeah, I believe as of now, when we talk about results and responses we are getting from these tools, they are hallucinating as well. But over time, because of this competition only, I believe we are going to get a lot of better responses and a lot of tools out there which will make us a lot more productive and efficient in our day-to-day work.
I have. Right, Shruti, you know, what sets DeepSeek apart from established AI giants like OpenAI, Google, DeepMind, or Anthropic? Is DeepSeek really the next big thing, or is it just a contender in an already crowded space?
When we talk about DeepSeek, definitely it is the reason why it is standing out compared to other AI tools out there is because of the open source model that it is. Compared to other AI models out there which are charging you, for example, OpenAI have this latest reasoning model O3, and for that you have to pay $200 a month. Apart from that, there is this Pro access also where you have to pay $20 a month. And then there is Anthropic and a lot of other AI tools. Perplexity is there, but all of these models are charging you, specifically when we talk about reasoning. So DeepSeek, when it came, the best thing was there that it is giving you the citations, the reasoning, it is showing you how it is thinking and how many time it is taking with all the responses and everything. And the best thing was that it is a free model where you don't have to pay anything for it. And again, when we talk about using their APIs to build a lot of different tools and innovative technologies, it is very easy to do that compared to other models. It is comparatively very cheaper. So that's why it is standing out. In the coming time, in the coming few months or probably any year, a lot of things are advancements are happening. So if there is some other model or any other organization is launching something, definitely, it will be a bigger and better competition. But as of now, DeepSeek is which stands out a lot. But as far as we all can see and we know that yesterday also OpenAI launched their advanced model. And I think OpenAI is also doing a lot of work in this arena.
Right, and also, you know, I just wanted to get some sense on the regulation part, you know, regulatory part. With growing AI power, concerns around safety, bias, regulation are rising, right? So how do you see this balance between innovation and control? And what does, you know, all of this mean for regulation and ethics part?
When we talk about regulation, accountability from tech companies, I see would be most important thing. Then government and organization should collaborate on the global AI standards to teach people like general users on how to use the tool, how to spot the misinformation. And I think proper regulation and ethical AI development are the key to strike a balance between innovation and truth in this area.
All right. Thank you, Shruti, for getting us all those details as far as AI and its future is concerned. Of course, where it is moving, what does the future behold? Those are the big questions being asked at this point, with the competition really growing in this particular space. Thank you for joining us.
Excellent.
Let's move on now on another special segment. Today is World Cancer Day, and we are continuing our series of conversations here on Breakfast News with doctors, patients and caregivers to build awareness around cancer, specifically lung cancer. It's over to Ambika for more.
Now, World Cancer Day is an international day observed every 4th of February to raise awareness about cancer, encourage its prevention and mobilize action, including on the policy front, to address the global cancer epidemic. And my guests are doing exactly that around lung cancer. Today joining us, we have Sanjeev Sharma, Director, Lung Connect India Foundation, and Vandana Mahajan, who volunteers with Lung Connect India Foundation as their lead counsellor and who herself has lived the experience of cancer. Thank you so much for joining us. Vandana, I would like to start with you. If you could tell us, what is the reason behind this campaign?
Thank you, Ambika. I think that's the perfect question to start with. So let's say we talk about common cancers in India. We think breast cancer, we think oral cancer. Nowhere does lung cancer figure. The number of cases that are being diagnosed, lung cancer cases, is increasing at an alarming rate. Earlier, it was believed that only smoking causes lung cancer. But unfortunately, now, a lot of non-smokers, young men and women are getting diagnosed. And what is the reason for this? While I say this, I also want to highlight that most of these cancers are diagnosed at an advanced stage. So that means the chances of a cure come down, and mortality, the chances of dying are far more.
Yeah.
So Lung Connect India Foundation thought of this campaign because we want to raise awareness about the rates at which the lung cancer is increasing, and also apprise or maybe educate the people around us and ask them to join hands with us, reach out to the Government of India, reach out to the civil society, and reach out to the general public that this needs more attention.
Yes.
If we create awareness, then we encourage early detection. And early detection, as you know, Ambika, for any cancer, means saves lives.
I mean, absolutely. I think that is why it is important to talk about this. Mr. Sharma, if I could come to you here, now that we know, why we are doing this campaign, could you tell us why was Lung Connect India Foundation founded?
Yeah, सोमक्या जी, एक्चुअली इस क्षेत्र में काम करते हुए मुझे लगभग 20 साल से ज़्यादा हो गया, एंड जब मैं सारी चीज़ें देख रहा था तो वहाँ पे एक लंग कैंसर डिजीज ऐसा था जहाँ पे कि और भी ज़्यादा फोकस करने की ज़रूरत है चीज़ों को। एंड इंडिया में अगर देखा जाए, इंडिया नहीं साउथ एशिया में भी कोई ऐसा स्पेसिफिक डिजीज ग्रुप नहीं था कि पर्टिकुलर एक कैंसर पे काम करे। तो आइडिया ये था कि पेशेंट एंड केयर गिवर, डॉक्टर, फिजिशियन, इंडस्ट्री, सबको एक साथ एक पेज पे लाया जाए गवर्नमेंट को, ताकि इस जो डिजीज है कैंसर का है मिल के इसको अच्छे तरह से और भी काम कर सके।
मिस्टर शर्मा, अगर आप हमें बता सके कि फाउंडेशन के गोल्स क्या है, क्योंकि अब हमें पता है कि क्यों फाउंड किया, आगे क्या गोल्स हैं?
सो गोल जो हम लोगों का है, सभी लोगों का है, क्या जी, फाउंडेशन का गोल हम 3 चीज़ों पे चल रहे हैं मेन रूप से। एक तो है कि कैसे सभी लोगों को एक साथ लाएं एक अम्ब्रेला में, पेशेंट को, जहाँ पे कि लोग अपना बात रख सके चीज़ों को। दूसरा है कि कैसे जो मेडिसिन है, जो गरीब गुरबा, जो एकदम अंतिम पंक्ति में है, उनके तक पहुँचे जाए, जिसे कि हम इक्वलिटी ऑफ ट्रीटमेंट भी बोल सकते हैं कि उन मिलना चाहिए सभी को। और तीसरा, जो इतने दिनों में मैंने देखा हूँ कि सबसे ज़्यादा अगर ट्रीटमेंट में खर्च है, उसके लिए क्या करना चाहिए, तो लगता है कि जो हमारे देश में है रिसर्च का इन्वायरमेंट देना चाहिए। उदाहरण के तौर पे मैं इसके लिए बोल रहा हूँ कि अगर हम कोविड का उदाहरण दें तो हमारे देश में हुआ रिसर्च और वैक्सीन बना, इसके लिए सभी लोगों को लग पाया। तो अगर हमारे देश में सस्ती दवाइयाँ बनेगी, और दवाइयाँ कब बनेगी, जब रिसर्च होंगे, और रिसर्च होंगे तो मुझे लगता है कि जो हम लोगों का उद्देश्य है कि बिना कोई भी व्यक्ति ट्रीटमेंट का नहीं रह पाए, उन तक पहुंच पाएगा। जी,
I think बहुत important aspect and a lot for the foundation to do clearly when we look at the goals. Vandana, also if you could share some achievements of the Lung Connect Foundation.
Thank you, Ambika. And Sanjeev ji, I think what he said is right on the point of what I'm going to say. We've come a long way, Ambika. In the last couple of years, we've been able to achieve a lot. One of our highlights is we do monthly support group meetings. Without a break, we've done 132 on the trot. So, and through our digital platform and presence, we've been able to reach out to a humongous 55,000 patients and caregivers. And so that is a
great numbers, and also reaching out to the people who need it the most.
Absolutely, and this is through our different social media handles. If you remember COVID, when COVID happened, there was a lockdown in the entire country.
Yes.
Our patients who are on targeted therapy drugs, they need their medication daily. Without it, they will die. So that's when Lung Connect collaborated or joined hands with the oncologists, and we were able to courier medicines to the villages. And that saved so many lives.
So that they're not missing the
tablets. And also, Ambika, here I want to highlight that time no courier services were available. So it was the Indian Postal Service that came up and joined hands with us. Thirdly, what we do is we also provide end-of-life support to our patients. Like I mentioned right in the beginning, that many of our patients are terminal and then they die. Unfortunately, in India, we don't care for the dying. But at Lung Connect, we take that extra bit and we connect them to the palliative care centers in the local areas. We have a buddy program in which we encourage people with lived experience or their caregivers to come and join us so they can support other people going through the disease.
Thank you so much, Vandana. Thank you so much, Mr. Sanjeev, for joining us. Well, that's all for today's segment on lung cancer awareness on World Cancer Day. We will be back on Thursday to talk about research and cost-effective therapies. Till then, it's back to the studio.
On to some international updates. Donald Trump has agreed to a 30-day pause on imposing tariffs against Canada and Mexico. This decision follows commitments from both nations to enhance border security and combat drug trafficking. The move, in fact, aims to prevent a potential trade war that could have widespread.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news.
Afternoon, Prime Minister Trudeau announced on social media that the pause is for 30 days, and over this period, the two countries will work together to bolster the border against the movement of fentanyl. Here's what Prime Minister Trudeau has promised: a $1.3 billion package to improve the surveillance of the border, which includes improving the technology as well as increasing the number of choppers and drones for better surveillance of the border. Apart from this, 10,000 personnel will be manning the border to arrest the movement of fentanyl. A fentanyl czar will also be appointed, is something that the Canadian side has announced, a significant announcement, which appears that this office is going to be coordinating with the US as well as agencies within Canada to prevent the movement of the opioid. Apart from this, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had, remember, already said that if push comes to shove, Canada will impose reciprocal tariffs against US goods worth $155 billion, 25% tariff, and take this fight forward. For the moment, this fight has been paused, but the provinces in Canada were also ready to take on the fight, with the Ontario Premier, Doug Ford, saying that his province will snap ties with Elon Musk Starlink, as well as saying that the government will not award any contracts to US agencies. The Quebec Premier had also said that the province of Quebec will also fight this fight with the US, and had said that the alcohol outlet SAQ will not be keeping any of the US products on its shelf henceforth. However, for the moment, it appears that the situation has been curtailed. That is, an all-out trade war between the two neighbors has been arrested for the time being, temporarily for 30 days. How things pan out post that remains to be seen, because US President Donald Trump is not only asking Canada to act against the movement of fentanyl against the border, but also the movement of illegal migrants against the border, apart from the fact that he also wants parity on trade, that is to reduce the trade deficit with Canada, especially it appears in the energy sector where Canada has an upper hand.
Moving on to world of entertainment, two Hollywood icons Reese Witherspoon and Will Ferrell sat down with NDTV's Arun Singh to talk about their film You're Cordially Invited. From LA wildfires to improvisation and even the evolving landscape of comedy, here's what they had to say. Listen in.
So, of course, we'll start the interview here. The film seems so much fun. How much of the moments are improv there? Or did you guys stick to the script?
There's a mixture for sure, but I think a lot, I mean, I would say probably 80-20 scripted to improv.
Right? Yeah, I think it was scripted. Nick Soler is an amazing writer. And I mean, if you look at his filmography with Forgetting Sarah Marshall and
Neighbors, Get Him to the Greek,
and Get Him to the Greek, which is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
He's just inherently understands what makes great characters in conflict work.
And if you can mention the improv one, if you remember any improv scene which you guys jammed on.
It's hard to say, only because you can go through each scene and
I know a scene.
You'd probably be surprised at what's improv.
The scene where you're with all those girls doing shots and they're talking to you, that felt like very.
Yeah.
Was that scripted? That wasn't in the scripts.
No, it was. I mean, I might have been throwing things out, but like we were just laughing about the moment at the end of the movie where we're in the car and we're having, and Reese is kind of having this emotional breakdown. Reese had this idea, like that's Reese's unscripted line where she says, "Wait, do you even have a job?" And then I say, "I'm the CEO of Delta Airline." Like that wasn't in the script.
Yeah, that was just on the day.
But so once again, like it's all.
Because I was thinking, like, if we were actually dating, I could ask you a question like, "Do you work?" Because you look like you don't, and you're really bad at organizing things.
Right.
And then you were like, "No, I'm a massive CEO of a Fortune 500."
The contrast of that
company
all of a sudden was very funny.
It's one of my favorite things.
Since we have both of you, you have aced comedy as a genre across different decades. How has comedy changed as a genre according to you two? Has it changed over the years? If yes, how?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think comedy is something that is always evolving. I mean, you can go back and look at comedies and see, it's just something that's always going to change. It's always going to continue to change.
But do you think in the age of these keyboard warriors these days, it's difficult to do the comedy? Because, anybody can take offense on anything. Is it difficult to do comedy in today's day and age?
I think that, well, I'm not really dialed into social media so much. So I just kind of do my thing and, plow ahead. That having been said, I don't feel like, and I know Reese has, I haven't really ever engaged in comedy that punches down. That's never been a move of mine. It's always been, I think we're more fans of being silly and absurd, and heightened, but then at the same time grounded in character.
Okay. Last question to Reese. You've posted so much about the LA wildfires. You've probably seen it firsthand as well. Any biggest learning that you had in 2025 out of that incident?
I don't have any learning. I just have an extreme amount of sympathy and just heartache for the families out there. How many people in our lives and our industry have been affected? It's just every day is a new story of devastation. So I have utter compassion, and I'm waiting. And I think we're all in a stage of waiting to see how we can be most helpful. But it's going to take an extraordinary effort of a lot of people to rebuild and and take care of those communities. My children grew up in those communities. My children's schools burned down, and it's just been devastating. But
Well, thank you so much.
Asking about it. I think it's important that we talk and acknowledge these people who are dealing with so much.
I was just going to thank you for speaking up about it, and also on your social media. In the end, if you could sum up, you're cordially invited in just one word, both of you.
Our movie?
Oh, in one word?
Yeah.
That's
One word. I have a word.
Okay.
Jubilee.
Chaos.
Love that. Love both the answers. Thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you.
Shifting focus to entertainment news from India now, Ibrahim Ali Khan, Saif Ali Khan's son, is all set to make his big Bollywood debut with Khushi Kapoor in upcoming adult romantic drama Nadaniya. In fact, the fresh on-screen pairing has already garnered a lot of buzz, and the plot revolves around crazy and magical feeling of falling in love for the first time. In fact, the film will be streamed on Netflix soon. On to Prayagraj now, where Mahakumbh is underway. Over 40 crore devotees, saints and pilgrims are converging on Prayagraj for a sacred dip at Sangam during Mahakumbh Mela. In the ceaseless ebb and flow of devotees and visitors, hygiene and health becomes crucial. Dettol Banega Swasth India is playing a critical role in ensuring a Swachh and Swasth Mahakumbh experience and promoting hygiene practices during this significant event.
The Mahakumbh Mela is the largest gathering of faith in human history. But it is much more than a gathering. It is a profound celebration of faith, devotion, and unity. With crores of devotees and visitors in attendance, hygiene consciousness needs to become an integral part of the Mahakumbh. To keep the Kumbh clean, thousands of sanitation workers work day and night to maintain over 1 lakh toilets and to keep the tented city as well as the river clean of trash and debris. But what about personal hygiene? As part of its mission to transform public health and hygiene, the Dettol Banega Swasth India campaign is a significant presence at the Mahakumbh this year.
जो डिटॉल कंपनी का भी बहुत बड़ा इसमें योगदान है। हर कुंभों में इन्होंने जो है अपने तरफ से साबुन देते हैं हाथ धोने के लिए और कैंप पहुंचाते हैं, सफाई का भी ध्यान देते हैं और सभी कैंप वालों को जागरूक करते हैं कि सभी महाराज साबुन बांट के कि आप लोग सफाई रखिए, अपना ध्यान रखिए।
We are trying our level best to reach out to all the sectors. In the Kumbh, we are working with the Kinnara Akhada, we are working with the Juna Akhada. One of the keys to success is a large volunteering force. We have more than 1,500 volunteers on the ground. Also plan to actually, educate others who are coming there through Nukkad Nataks. That's one of the lifetime opportunities to interact with millions of people, and they are working on the key messages on hygiene.
Spreading awareness and key messages around hygiene and regular hand washing. As part of the campaign, millions of soaps are being distributed at food serving areas across the Mela grounds to encourage devotees to wash their hands before and after meals. Additionally, the campaign will provide training in hygiene products to nearly 15,000 sanitation workers. Health and hygiene volunteers have also been deployed across the Kumbh, offering guidance and support to the pilgrims. By amplifying critical messages around health and hygiene and by instilling hygiene practices in crores of devotees, the Dettol Banega Swasth India campaign is reinforcing the importance of hand hygiene as a cornerstone for better health and driving positive behavioral change for a healthier and more sustainable future.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
Now we move on to the next category, which is the Youth Icon of the Year. And for this, मैं एक बार फिर से request करूँगी आशा पारेख जी का स्टेज पर आने के लिए और साथ ही इनवाइट करेंगे मयंक अग्रवाल जी को, CEO Gallant Group of Industries, to join us on stage for this next category of awards.
Ananya Pandey.
Congratulations, Ananya. And Ananya Pandey, actor, is getting this award for her advocacy work on combating cyberbullying, growing achievements in the film industry, and strong influence on social media. And that's what makes Ananya Pandey NDTV Youth Icon of the Year 2024. She represents a blend of modern values, relatability, and a commitment to meaningful causes, which are essential qualities for inspiring today's youth.
Congratulations, very many congratulations.
Thank you.
And Ananya, there are just a few questions for
Yes.
you. You've, diverse characters, and you've made a shift from big screen to OTT. Big superstars have done their shift. What is your opinion on that, and what's your next move?
Firstly, I just want to thank NDTV for this award. It's truly very, very humbling, and to get it from Asha Parekh ji, I'm such a big fan of your work, so this is a pinch me moment for sure. I don't believe any screen is too big or small. It's a screen at the end of the day, and the world is developing so fast. There's so many changes that are being made, so I think we're all just keeping up with the times.
Ananya, the fact is that 2024, this year has been phenomenal for you. One success after another. Kahan Kho Gaye Hum, Call Me Bae, CTRL. How does it feel to have multiple successes in one single year?
It's really a dream come true. I really think this year for me, more than ever, I felt very connected to my fans with Kho Gaye Hum Kahan and Call Me Bae and Control. I've done movies in the past, but this is the first time that I felt true love from the audience. And, all these films and shows have been conversation starters. People have not just come up to me and said that they like my work, but how my work has kind of made them feel seen or represented on screen. And for an actor, I think that's a huge victory for me.
So Asha ji is here on stage, and I sometimes back मैंने आपसे ये पूछा था कि आज के दौर में स्टारडम कैसे हैंडल करना है, तो अनन्या आपके साथ हैं जो स्टारडम को एक अलग तरीके से हैंडल कर रही हैं. कुछ एडवाइस अनन्या के लिए, या अनन्या आपको आशा जी से कुछ पूछना है?
जी आप प्लीज बताइए, आप मुझे एडवाइस दीजिए प्लीज.
Over 200 Indians are deported from the US first deportation flight to India. Prime Minister Modi likely to visit US next week. Sources say wide-ranging talks with President Trump expected. Parliament showdown, Prime Minister's reply on motion of thanks expected today. Less than 24 hours for crucial Delhi polls curtains on campaign over to voters now. And in Chennai, massive flight delays due to fog. 9 flights have been diverted. And Donald Trump pauses Canada and Mexico tariffs for 30 days. Tariffs paused within hours of each other. Right, let's begin with some breaking updates. A first deputation flight from the US to India carrying over 200 Indians. In fact, 200 Indians have been deported from the US amid a crackdown by Donald Trump on illegal migrants. 205 Indian nationals have been deported is the information that we are getting. US deporting migrants to India. In fact, a US military plane began deporting Indian migrants, implementing US President Donald Trump's hardline stance against undocumented migrants in the United States. Let's go straight across to Vishnu Shom on this. Vishnu, over 200 Indians have been deported. This, of course, amid the crackdown as far as Trump is concerned on illegal migrants. Take us through the details and any idea how the Indian government has responded to this.
Well, our sources indicating that 205 Indian migrants, illegal immigrants to the United States have been deported. The first flight with these deportees took place approximately 6 hours back. I'm still waiting to get an exact fix on the location, but I believe that the aircraft, which is a U.S. Air Force C-17 transport, took off from San Antonio in Texas. That flight is on its way back to India at this stage. My sources indicating that each and every individual who was on that aircraft has been verified. This seems to indicate that there was some sort of Government of India involvement in the United States, perhaps a member of one of our missions, where proof was actually provided to ensure that everybody who was coming back to India was in fact an Indian national and that there wasn't any mistake in that process. Remember, the United States has already flown migrants to Guatemala, Peru, and Honduras. Now they are following up with this particular flight, the first, perhaps of several, of Indian migrants, illegal immigrants to the United States coming back to India. A U.S. Air Force C-17 aircraft is flying them back.
All right. Thank you, Vishnu, for getting us those details. In fact, is there any sort of response that we're getting from the Indian authorities so far? And, we know that this comes ahead of Prime Minister Modi's visit to the U.S.
That's right. So this is source-based information, as I mentioned, where we are confirming the information on what is taking place from the United States. This is the first flight of deportees from the United States. It may well be the first of several flights which are taking place, bringing back illegal Indian immigrants to the United States. It does follow an effort by the United States and Donald Trump to take a very hardline position on illegal immigration to the United States. The United States absolutely clear that those who are acknowledged illegal immigrants to the U.S. will be put on American military flights and will be flown back to India. You're also quite right. The Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, will be flying to the United States after a summit in France on artificial intelligence. He is likely to reach the United States on the 12th of this month at a certain time. The time is unclear, and is likely to be there for approximately 24 hours before he comes back. So that is what the process is. That's what it looks like. In terms of the Prime Minister's very brief visit to the U.S., where he'll meet the U.S. President Donald Trump, the Vice President J.D. Vance, and the National Security Advisor as well. The issue of immigration is something where India and the U.S. would likely speak, but India has been very proactive. There are no two doubts over here about the fact that if they are Indian nationals, then we need to own them. They need to come back to our country if they are sent back, which is what is taking place now. That first aircraft from the U.S. Having departed approximately 6 hours back.
All right. Thank you, Vishnu Shom, for getting us all those details. Over 200 Indians have been deported from the United States. We'll keep coming back to you for more. Let's move on now. This is with respect to updates from Parliament. In fact, in Parliament, more ruckus expected. Yesterday, opposition, of course, cornered government over several issues. Rahul Gandhi raising China border issue. Today, Prime Minister Modi expected to respond. We have Maria Shakil, who's joining us from Parliament to give a lowdown on what can be expected today. Over to you, Maria.
Thank you, Radhika, and thank you. And good morning to the viewers of NDTV. I'm coming to you live from Parliament. It's here that all the action is playing out. A lot of heated discussions which happened yesterday when Rahul Gandhi was replying to the motion of thanks. He questioned government on multiple issues, from Chinese incursions to what he said. There was no inauguration, invitation that came from for Prime Minister Modi for Donald Trump's inauguration, which happened in the month of January. And then he went on to also question an addition of almost 70 lakh voters, which Rahul Gandhi said was done at the behest of the BJP in the state of Maharashtra, which cost them that state. But overall, it seems like that narrative of or politics of confrontation is going to play out even today. When Prime Minister Modi addresses Parliament, his reply to the motion of thanks is roughly around 5 p.m. this evening. But before that, there is a long list of speakers who will all be sharing their views on the president's speech, which essentially talked about the roadmap, the manner in which this government views its successes and what it will be doing this year around. I am being joined by Aishwarya, my colleague, who's right here. Aishwarya, the big question certainly is that has Rahul Gandhi's comments been expunged? Because Kiran Rijiju did meet the Lok Sabha Speaker, and the demand of the BJP and the Treasury benches has been that Rahul Gandhi indulged in falsehood.
Well, this can happen in upcoming next 2 to 3 days, because there's a process in place, as yesterday pointed out by Union Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju, that Lok Sabha Speaker himself asked Rahul Gandhi to authenticate the remarks that had been given by him. On the other side, yesterday late night, it was Lok Sabha that functioned till 11 p.m. And around 10 p.m. it was Nishikant Dubey who was speaking and replying to the motion of thanks. He pointed out 6 points and factually, pointed what Rahul Gandhi made some remarks which are incorrect according to them. After which Union Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju stood up and stated that one of our MP had now demanded that Rahul Gandhi should authenticate what he has said, and if a formal notice will be given by today, still not had been given, then Lok Sabha Speaker might demand Rahul Gandhi to authenticate. Although the Congress party had clarified that whatever facts the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge in Rajya Sabha, or be it Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi, had given in the Lok Sabha, that's absolutely correct. But it is, if the ruling would be given by the Speaker, Rahul Gandhi had to authenticate, and if he fails to, then the remarks could be expunged.
Okay, so we can expect a process of sort to be followed today. So the remarks of Rahul Gandhi has not been expunged at the moment. It can be if Rahul Gandhi fails to provide what the BJP says, any kind of supportive document to his allegations which he made on the floor of the House. But Aishwarya, what is the lineup today as far as the Parliament is concerned on motion of thanks?
Well, there are 21 NDA MPs who would be speaking, including, that will start today from Phaggan Singh Kulaste, who would be starting, and by 5 p.m. we're expecting Prime Minister to reply on the motion of thanks. 15 hours had been given both in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha for the motion of thanks debate. There are important MPs, including 2 of the MPs who would be speaking today from the national capital. Delhi elections are just nearby, and of course the focus would be on, and that's where the strategy comes in place. Yesterday we saw how Mr. Ramveer Biduri started the debate and had pointed out that how this government has helped in this budget the people of Delhi as well. So that would be the focus, but certainly each and every MP from the NDA would try to corner Rahul Gandhi on his remarks yesterday, and certainly at 5 p.m. all eyes will be on Prime Minister.
Thank you so much, Ash, for getting us all the details there. So, the sense certainly is Aarti Jairath joins us. We also have Bhaskar Ghosh of the BJP. Aarti Jairath, beginning with you, and Ash, come in on this discussion as well, that in this politics, it's about multiple interpretation of truth. And that's what Rahul Gandhi indulged in yesterday.
Maria, frankly, I thought Rahul Gandhi's speech was really devoid of any substantive issues. He raked up this Chinese intrusion. This is an old story now. And in fact, right now, India and China, the relations are thawing. We've had a very successful visit by the foreign secretary to China. And, things are actually opening up there. So, it's really an old story. As far as the Maharashtra elections are concerned, that's also dusted and done. As far as his visit to the United States for the inauguration, well, I mean, that's again open to interpretation. Were they really seeking an invitation or not seeking an invitation? And frankly, did it really matter? It's not, I would not consider it a substantive issue. In fact, I feel that the issues that should have been raised were, number one, the stampede that happened at Kumbh, because we still don't have a clear answer from the government on the death toll. They've said 30, but there are sort of people from the ground are saying that the death toll is much higher because there were not just one stampede, but 3 stampedes, plus there were 2 fires. So, I think that's far more substantive. The state of the economy, yes, they've given relief to the middle classes, but the real question here is, how are you going to generate jobs? How are you going to generate employment? Because that's how you'll get the economy going. That's how people are going to feel satisfied. So, these were the substantive issues that should have been raised, but I found none of that in Rahul Gandhi's speech, unfortunately.
Okay, so you feel that his speech was devoid of substance. Bhaskar Ghosh, of course, would agree with that. But the larger question is, Bhaskar Ghosh, here is Rahul Gandhi, who has spoken about it. What he saw was facts. And now we are seeing that the BJP is going all out. It played out till 11 p.m. last night inside Parliament, where they said that it has to be backed with, by credible sources. If that happens, of course, this will be a new direction in which Parliament will be going.
Arya, I think you're absolutely right. But I think that Rahul Gandhi is getting out of the way day by day. And when I was hearing the speech of Rahul Gandhi, it really appeared that he just wake up from the bed and straight come to Parliament without any preparations. This Parliament session has been dedicated to the note or the debate on the presidential speech and the budget. He has he's trying to take the whole parliament in his own personal agendas, as if the parliament belongs to his ancestral property. He must understand the decorum parliament. He is notably the LOP of this country, and the LOP of the country should know the agenda of discussions. The agenda of discussion was presidential speech and the budget, which has been presented by the Indian government the 10 times. So this is something very ridiculous. The entire opposition is not focusing on the agenda of the parliament, for which the parliament is giving time. And we are all speechless that when he is talking on budget, he is talking about China. When he is supposed to talk on the presidential speech, he is talking about Donald Trump has whether sent invitation to Prime Minister Modi. There's something, ridiculous. He has been a parliamentarian for such a long time, he claimed. But he is, I think, going out of the way and on his own whims and fancies. And the LOP positions have been heavily negotiated because of these, these attitudes of the Rahul Gandhi. He becomes so personal. Sometimes he becomes, so refusal, so personal. So I think what BJP we have done in the parliament asked for an authentication of his statements, and if he cannot give it, then proper steps according to the SOP of the parliament should be taken against him, because he is doing it number of times and he is going on a personal agenda which is not catering with the agenda set in the parliament.
Yes, but does that actually happen, Aarti Jairath? Because, any statement that has been made on the floor of the House is believed to be true, because if it is indeed indulging in some kind of falsehood, then there'll be privilege motion against the Speaker. who has indulged in that kind of statement, then why this effort or the narrative around presenting credible facts to what Rahul Gandhi has said, that he has to back it with some kind of facts?
I know. In fact, Maria, this is a very unusual step because, there have been so many times that people have made all kinds of allegations and accusations and statements in Parliament, but nobody has ever really been asked to authenticate it. So this is the first time that I'm hearing, that too, the leader of opposition being asked to present facts or rather to present evidence to back what he said. I think the BJP has decided to be very, very combative on this. But there's not much time. There's not much time left. If the Prime Minister is giving his reply today, how much have they assigned a time limit for Rahul Gandhi to present the evidence? Has he been told that he has to do it by 12 o'clock today, for instance? And if he doesn't do it by 12 o'clock today, then what action will they take? Moving a privilege motion against a leader of opposition is a very serious thing. And, I find that all kinds of parliamentary conventions are really, they're breaking down. This kind of confrontation, this kind of, head-on, sort of trying to take Rahul Gandhi on and telling him that he has to authenticate. This is unusual. But at the same time, it is true that I think people have to be a little careful about what they say in Parliament because, you can't just shoot from the hip in Parliament. Parliament is a serious place where you have serious debate and you should not really be shooting from the hip. So let's hope that this serves as a kind of lesson to parliamentarians for future, that they don't just make all kinds of claims and, wild allegations, and that they are a little more careful about what they say.
All right, Aarti Jairath and Bhaskar Ghosh, appreciate your time here on NDTV. A word now from Aishwarya. Aishwarya, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra started the discussion on constitution debate which happened in the winter session. Is she expected to speak?
Well, the Congress party had yet not decided that Priyanka Gandhi Vadra would be speaking today or not because yesterday the Congress party clearly banged on the face of leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi, which some of the Congress leaders have called his speech as one of the best speeches that he has given till date in the parliament. And Priyanka Gandhi Vadra responded after Rahul Gandhi's remarks as well that this is a kind of speech, this is a kind of vision that any leader should present. But the NDA faction or the Treasury benches clearly had not stated the way the Congress party has reacted. They said that, in the starting it all went well, but Rahul Gandhi was not in a path. At the end, he gave some facts that was clearly a laughable one. In fact, he has to substantiate on what he has stated. In fact, there are several tweets which yesterday was reflected by some of the NDA MPs as far as the China issue is concerned. The 1959 and 1962 war where from Ladakh and Arunachal Pradesh, the land, India had lost their land and China has taken over. Rahul Gandhi should apologize first to it. Shrikant Shinde of the Shiv Sena also responded yesterday on the Maharashtra elections that Rahul Gandhi doesn't even know that all the voters lists had been uploaded on the website. So these are claims that had been given. A war of words had already emerged, but it would be very interesting to see. One thing is very interesting also today. Akhilesh Yadav from the Samajwadi Party, he is speaking and will be concluding the debate from the opposition bloc.
I think Akhilesh and Rahul Gandhi's Jugalbandi that we have seen in the last few months, will it be reflecting also today? But one takeaway certainly was that Rahul Gandhi spoke on behalf of the India bloc. Despite differences, which is playing out particularly in the context of Delhi, where Aam Aadmi Party and Congress are fighting in different directions, this time around, Rahul Gandhi on the floor of the House said that his concerns are that of India bloc. Ash, thank you so much. With that, we'll shift our focus to another story. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be in United States in the second week of February. That will happen post his visit to Paris for the AI summit. He was expected to arrive in Washington, D.C. on 13th. So what is really on this agenda? And remember, the Indian side sought an early engagement between Prime Minister Modi and Donald Trump. They had also had a telephonic conversation last week where both the sides reiterated that they would be emphasizing on the bilateral ties. Ghazali joins us. Ghazali, over to you.
Prime Minister will be in United States on Feb 12, rightly after the Paris summit, the AI summit in Paris. And this this meeting is going to be very significant considering the way Mr. Trump is executing, issuing all those executive orders, and most of them is also going to impact India as well. We know how he has issued orders on illegal immigration. Then you have the tariffs to most of the nations who have like China, Mexico, and then Canada, and then also Mr. Trump is also sort of sending out mixed signals. First, he's almost using that carrot and stick approach. First, he's threatening it, then he's backing it down or pausing those threats for 1 month, as he did it with Mexico and Canada. India's Prime Minister will be there to meet him, and there will be pressing issues which he will be discussing with him. Obviously, the illegal immigration issue is one. Halting the funds to all those U.S. agencies which operates in different countries should be the another one. And Indian Prime Minister will have to discuss other areas where U.S. and India have deep cooperation for years now, be it space, be it technology, be it defense sector. And even in the inaugural, or say the first time when Prime Minister Modi spoke with Mr. Trump on a phone call, congratulating him for his victory, Mr. Trump had also stressed that perhaps the significance of India buying more for its defense sector from US is very significant. So Mr. Trump means business, and in this particular trip, all these issues will come under discussion.
All right, Ghazali, thank you for that quick update. On that note, we are slipping into a short break. Lots more news and updates on the other side.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our...
Welcome back. Curtains have come down on the high-octane Delhi election campaign, with all the parties fielding their big guns in the final dash to woo voters. Aam Aadmi Party Chief Arvind Kejriwal took out roadshows. Top union ministers also campaigned for the BJP yesterday. Congress MP Priyanka Gandhi also conducting door-to-door campaigns. Now, Delhi, we know for a fact that goes to vote on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. What do Delhi voters feel? What is the mood like? Shreya brings us this report.
I'm here at Lajpat Nagar's famous eatery, Noorchand's Paratha, to speak to people here, to speak to the locals here. What do they think about the upcoming Delhi Assembly elections? Sir, कल चुनाव है, क्या लगता है क्या होने वाला है?
चुनाव बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है इस बार बहुत अच्छी तगड़ी कंपटीशन है बीजेपी और कांग्रेस के बीच में. आप तो नहीं आएगी, ये तो पक्का है.
सर, आपको क्या लगता है?
जहाँ तक आप आ सकती है, क्योंकि आपने किया है यहाँ पे.
आप खुश हो with the kind of work Mr. Kejriwal has done in the Delhi?
हाँ जी, बिल्कुल.
What kind of work do you think has been substantially done by Aam Aadmi Party?
लाइक इन्होंने इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का भी बहुत वो करा, तो उसके चक्कर में बहुत लोग जो है उसके करेंगे सपोर्ट उसके चक्कर में.
Right, and I'll also ask my camera person to show the legendary parathas here that are being made. Of course, these are generously stuffed parathas with the tangy pickles and the creamy curd. It also makes me feel very nostalgic because my college, Lady Shri Ram College, is just a short walk from here, and I'm also joined by some other people here who are gorging on the delicious parathas here. I'll ask my camera person to come and zoom in on the parathas while I talk to them. Sir, क्या लगता है इस बार के इलेक्शंस में क्या होने वाला है?
इस बार जो भी होगा कुछ अलग ही होगा. इस बार तक तो अभी तक तो केजरीवाल की सरकार थी. जो जनता है अभी केजरीवाल से इतनी खुश नहीं है. अब कुछ बदलाव चाहते हैं.
क्यों खुश नहीं है सर?
जी, मैं संगम विहार एरिया में रहता हूँ. वहाँ पर नाली सड़कें की जो सुविधा होनी चाहिए थी उस प्रकार के नहीं है. रोड ख़राब है, नाली का पानी रोड पे बह रहा है, कीचड़ है, बारिश हो जाती है उसमें भी बहुत दिक्कत हो जाती. तो इस वजह से मैं केजरीवाल सरकार से खुश नहीं.
तो आप बोल रहे हो कि बीजेपी और कांग्रेस का तगड़ा फाइट होने वाला है और लोग थोड़ा बीजेपी की तरफ फेवर करे, ये लगता है आपको?
सॉरी,
बीजेपी की तरफ फेवर करे.
हाँ जी, सब.
And I'm also joined by a very young person here. What do you think? For how long have you been living in Delhi?
Few months.
Few months. Do you like the infrastructural developments that have taken place?
Sure, the metro stations are very clean actually, and
what do you think about women's security?
I don't know about that. I have not traveled so much in Delhi.
सर, आपको क्या लगता है कल चुनाव है, कल
केजरीवाल given benefit to the poor and pensions etc.
But sir, now BJP and Congress, they are also offering the same freebie.
They are only saying.
They are only saying. But you think that Mr. Kejriwal will deliver?
Yeah, please.
So, of course, as you heard from the people, that they are divided, but there is a level of dissatisfaction also with the kind of work that Aam Aadmi Party has done and the kind of work that are yet to be done, the unresolved civic issues that continue to plague the national capital. Tomorrow is the D-Day. It is over to the voters to decide who will continue to be in power or who will bring a comeback, be it Congress or BJP. They have been out of power for years now, and while we continue to enjoy the Moolchand paratha here and sip on some of the hot tea here, the piping hot tea here, the voters are gearing up to cast their vote tomorrow. And yesterday we saw high octane campaigning coming to an end, the political leaders giving their final attempt to woo the voters. Now it is going to be over to the voters to decide who will come to power in the national capital, and the results will be on the 8th of February.
Shifting focus to Telangana now, in a significant move, Telangana Assembly is convening a special session today to deliberate on state's ongoing caste census initiated in November 2024. This comprehensive socio-economic and caste survey involves approximately 80,000 enumerators conducting door-to-door data collection across Telangana. Chief Minister Revant Reddy is expected to table the census report and SC sub-categorization report in the Assembly soon after session begins at 11 a.m. So, crucial day as government will table and debate caste survey report in the special session. Uma has all the details.
The socio-economic, political, education, employment and caste survey, shortly called the caste survey, will be submitted to the cabinet today by the cabinet subcommittee that is headed by Uttam Kumar Reddy, and they are expected to approve it, and then there will be a special session of the Telangana Assembly to discuss this report. There is also going to be another report of SC subcategorization that was submitted by the one-man Judicial Commission headed by former retired Judge Shamim Akhtar, whose report was submitted again to Mr. Uttam Kumar Reddy, and that is also expected to be presented to the cabinet and then subsequently will be taken up in the House as well. Already there is criticism of the caste survey, which had in fact broadly said that there is about 46.25% of non-Muslims who belong to the backward classes, and that 10% belong to the backward classes and from the Muslim community, and therefore the overall backward class population in Telangana will be about 56.25% in the 3.7 crore population that they are talking about. This caste survey was conducted over 50 days in November, December last year, and there were about 94,000 enumerators and supervisors and so on who had conducted this household survey, door-to-door survey, and they gathered data not just on caste but also on socio-economic status, educational status, the jobs that people are holding, the political positions that they are holding, what kind of property they are holding. So all this is a lot of data that the government is said to have gathered. But already there is criticism of the caste survey with the BRS as well as the BJP saying that the numbers of the backward classes seem to have been shrunk or seem to have been made less than what they estimated to be. As you know, there is no formal kind of a survey that was conducted to gather this kind of a data. There's been no census that was recently conducted to get this kind of a data, but there was a Samagra survey or a comprehensive household survey that was conducted soon after KCR came to power, that's about 10 years ago, and the BRS claims that the numbers that this particular survey is revealing could have actually been inaccurate in terms of having shrunk the numbers. The Congress had made a pre-poll promise not just for the caste survey, but they had also said that the BC reservations would be increased according to the numbers that are reflected in the caste survey that comes up, and they had also spoken about increasing the contracts that are given, civil construction and maintenance contracts given by the government to 42% to the BC community, and they had also spoken about increasing reservation from 23% to 42% for the backward classes, even in the local body elections that are coming up. Whether the government is able to do that, that is something that we will have to wait and watch, because of the ceiling also on the overall reservation that the Supreme Court has imposed of 50% reservation ceiling or cap on the reservation that can be given out.
Moving on to Rajasthan now. Rajasthan government has tabled anti-conversion bill in State Assembly passed by Bhajan Lal cabinet in December 2024. The bill has provisions for imprisonment of up to 10 years in order to prevent religious conversions carried out by force, fraud or inducement. Once passed, Rajasthan will join 11 other states, Odisha, Arunachal Pradesh, Gujarat and a few others, in having an anti-conversion law. The opposition Congress has strongly opposed the bill, saying it formed part of BJP's propaganda to mislead the people.
The Rajasthan Assembly, the anti-conversion bill, a bill that looks closely at religious conversions, imposes penalties for forced conversions or a change of faith brought about by an act of fraud. These offences are now non-bailable and can attract up to 5 years in prison.
कालांतर में ये पाया गया कि अनेक ऐसी संस्थाएं या व्यक्ति समूह बनाकर या स्वयं अकेला ही अनेक ऐसे क्षेत्रों में, चाहे वो हमारे आदिवासी भाई बहनों का क्षेत्र हो या अन्य क्षेत्र हो, प्रलोभन देकर, गलत प्रचार कर, आर्थिक रूप से प्रलोभन देकर, भविष्य के झूठे झूठे समझबाग दिखाकर धर्म परिवर्तन कराते थे। साथ रहने का समझबाग दिखाकर उन सब की रोकथाम के लिए विधेयक लाया गया है।
The Congress has said that they will take up the issue in the House and will see if any constitutional provisions are being violated by this bill.
किन-किन मुद्दों पर लेके आ रहे हैं, किस प्रकार की बातों को लेके आ रहे हैं, क्या संविधान के अनुरूप लेके आ रहे हैं, संविधान से अलग लेके आ रहे हैं?
In 2008, the Vasundhara Raje government brought about an anti-conversion bill, but it never got the assent to become a law. Now the Bhajan Lal government has brought the anti-conversion bill 2025. Among its many other penal provisions, this bill looks closely at interfaith marriages. If there is conversion either by force or fraud, then such a union can be dissolved. In Jaipur, Harsha Kumari Singh, NDTV.
All right, thank you for those updates. there, Harsha. Let's move on now. This is some updates from Chennai. High humidity levels and a drop in temperatures has led to fog conditions in Chennai, a rare occurrence in Chennai. People were in fact seen wearing sweaters this morning, and poor visibility has led to massive delays in air, rail and road traffic. Average delay of over an hour. Flights are getting diverted, and that has caused a 1 hour 30-minute delay at Chennai airport. Sam is joining us for more. Sam, a massive flight delays due to fog, something that's unprecedented as far as a city like Chennai is concerned. Take us through the details. What's the situation?
That's right, Divya. The authorities call it as radiation-type foggy condition early this morning in Chennai region, because of which 8 flights were diverted to Bengaluru, 6 international flights and 2 domestic flights. These flights include ones from London, Muscat, and the domestic flights from Coimbatore, all Chennai-bound flights. Because of this, 10 flight departures also have been affected. These are largely the return flights which have been diverted. There have been no cancellations, and now the weather is clear, and authorities say it's getting back to normalcy. Once the backlog of these return flights are cleared, then they say it should, in a matter of few hours, it should be normal. This is unusual for Chennai, but sometimes in the winter season, Chennai witnesses this kind of a foggy condition. Authorities call it as radiation-type foggy condition because of mist all through the night and a corresponding temperature rise, because of which this condition. But it has really, in that sense, jeopardized travel plans of many. And authorities are hopeful that in the next few hours, they should be able to get back to the scheduled times in terms of both arrivals and departures.
All right. Thank you, Sam, for getting us those details. So 9 flights to Chennai diverted and several flights from Chennai impacted as a result of foggy conditions in the city. Let's shift our focus now in a significant move to bolster the startup ecosystem. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman had announced in the Union Budget 2025 an extension of incorporation period for startups by 5 years. What does this mean for startups? Sakshi has all the details. Over to you, Sakshi.
Absolutely. So during Budget 2025, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced an extension to the deadline for incorporation of startups by 5 years until the 1st of April 2030. What does this mean? Well, it means the time period for an entity to register as a business and as a startup in particular has got this extension, and registered startups will be eligible for 3-year tax holidays as well as be exempt from long-term capital gains tax and tax on investments for this extended time period. Experts believe this move will enhance cash flows and help profitability for startups in the initial years. To decode this move further, I am joined by Aziz Gupta, co-founder Rocket Learning, and Sabina Devan, President and Executive Director of Just Jobs Network. Thank you both for your time and for joining us for this interaction. Aziz Gupta, funding and incorporation concerns for startups clearly addressed in this budget then, and a big boost for the entire ecosystem.
Absolutely, absolutely. When Startup India started, this particular measure was probably the most tangible part of it, and it's a great move by the government to extend it by another 5 years. In any case, there's a lot of pressure on startups now to move towards profitability. So there is actually a real chance that startups will hit that in the first 10 years, and having that tax holiday for 3 years is helpful. But I think even more so, providing the other benefits in terms of lesser compliance in the first few years, the angel tax measures to encourage investment in the early years, those are, in my mind, probably even more critical than the tax holiday, because they encourage investments and reduce compliance burden on startups.
Right, reducing compliance burden. Sabina, the biggest concerns for startups have been addressed in a sense, like Aziz was mentioning, but many still feel if they need to pay GST for their startups or their businesses on predicted revenue, it remains a key challenge.
Well, I think that the first thing we have to recognize is that the country is facing an enormous jobs crisis, and we've played this game before. We've given corporate tax breaks before. We want to foster a culture of innovation, but is the tax system for startups and the break that we're giving the startups the best way to do that? I think if we want to revive investment, and we want to revive consumption, the best way to do that is to actually focus on job creation. Startups are a very small share of the ecosystem, right? There are only about 1.6 lakh startups, 40% of which are tech, and that only create about 17 lakh jobs. That's a drop in the bucket. We need to look at other job creation measures. But I agree, if we want to foster innovation, we need to support startups with other non-tax related compliance by reducing non-tax related and non-labor related compliances.
Absolutely. Aziz Gupta, your thoughts then on, of course, this challenge really that many feel that, look, we still need to pay our GST on predicted revenue, and this remains a challenge for even startups that want to expand further.
No, this challenge continues, and I think it's not helped by the fact that often there may be action by regulatory authorities on the tax front. There may be raids and checks, and those are obviously within the rights of those agencies to do, but it leads to a lot of uncertainty for companies. Another measure of that sort, GST is one thing, especially on projected revenue, right? Obviously nobody has any issues in paying GST on actual realized revenue. I think the other issue is in terms of angel tax, and the government has done a great job clarifying that in the future, but companies from the last few years are still in that mess. They're still receiving notices, responding to notices. And as a startup, you don't have that level of secretarial and compliance support. So if founders are spending half their time responding to notices or having their assets sort of frozen until the issue is solved, that becomes hard. In fact, one of the steps I would urge is perhaps special sort of cells to deal with these sorts of issues, expedite appeals, and resolve these issues quickly, specifically for startups, which would be a great boon to new entrepreneurs who are wanting to focus on business and get support from the government on the compliance side.
Right, Sabina, so how do you think we can simplify the mechanism even further, in particular for MSMEs and women entrepreneurs?
Well, I think exactly as the previous speaker just said, that we need to really look at simplifying other forms of non-labor, and I want to emphasize non-labor compliances. And the way to do this is not through the tax system, right? If a startup is profitable, what benefit is it having to the economy if you're just exempting those profits from taxation when they're already profitable, right? So we need to be actually looking at other mechanisms to support women entrepreneurs as well, but also the startup ecosystem in a way that doesn't stifle innovation, it fosters innovation. But really, I think the way that we revive investment and economic growth, and economic growth is slowing, the way that we revive those is through really putting money in the hands of workers, which involves an entirely different set of policy priorities than what we're seeing right now.
Right, Aziz Gupta, do you agree? A stable policy framework will help startups to scale, create jobs, and that's where we seem to be heading now?
I think so. Overall, yes. I think predictability is the most important thing, right? Whether it's for individual angel investors, domestic HNIs, or foreign funds, right? And I think that's where sort of there's been a little bit of a struggle in the past. I think this government now and earlier has taken a lot of steps on that. So I think we're getting there. And of course, the consumption measures, the tax measures that have been announced in this budget are definitely going to be helpful to all businesses, but including startups. So I think all of that is there. But I think, overall, stable policy is great. I think a focus on stable implementation of that policy by all arms of the government. That is going to be important, and that will require people who are sort of knowledgeable on that, are taking inputs from startups. And one of the biggest steps this government has done, honestly, is that in the first 3 years, all startups have noticed, there are no visits by different tax authorities, etc. Relatively, compliance. I mean, people are not trying to find out mistakes in the first 3 years, and that starts after 3 years. I think that's been a big boon, and similar measures need to continue. And even for startups in year 4 to 10, if there can be specific support, that would be really commendable.
Right. Lastly, Sabina, to you, do you agree not just about a stable policy framework, but also about stable implementation?
I absolutely agree with that, and I also agree with Aziz that the opacity in regulation is not good for business, and it's not good for workers or labor either, right? You need to have not just a stable policy framework, but a transparent and a predictable one. And that leads to better employment relationships within economies. It relates to, it helps and fosters better innovation and hopefully revives investment in a way that we need. But the message that I'd love for your listeners to leave with is that tax breaks for corporations and startups are not the best way if we want to revive economic growth and investment. We also need to prioritize good job creation and putting money back into the hands of actual workers and increase real wages and create more and better jobs.
Thank you both so much for this insightful interaction. The focus really on stable and consistent policy framework as well as implementation, and the focus on job creation for startups. Radhika, that's what we have from the business front. Back to you for other news.
All right, thank you, Sakshi. Certainly this step by FM, a boost to startups, but startups expecting more support and, as you said, stable policy framework and stable implementation in terms of ease of doing business. Thank you for that. Now let's move on to some international updates. Donald Trump has agreed to a 30-day pause on imposing tariffs against Canada and Mexico. This decision follows commitments from both nations to enhance border security and combat drug trafficking. The move aims to prevent a potential trade war that could have widespread economic implications. In fact, Trump on Saturday had said he would impose 25% tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada and 10% tariffs on goods imported from China. For more on this, we have Maha Siddiqui, who has all the lowdown on this decision by Donald Trump.
The US will not be imposing the 25% tariff against Canadian goods and 10% tariff against Canadian energy exported to US temporarily after two conversations between Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and US President Donald Trump on Monday. After the second conversation in the afternoon, Prime Minister Trudeau announced on social media that the pause is for 30 days. And over this period, the two countries will work together to bolster the border against the movement of fentanyl. Here's what Prime Minister Trudeau has promised: a $1.3 billion package to improve the surveillance of the border, which includes improving the technology as well as increasing the number of choppers and drones for better surveillance of the border. Apart from this, 10,000 personnel will be manning the border to arrest the movement of fentanyl. A fentanyl czar will also be appointed, is something that the Canadian side has announced, a significant announcement which appears that this office is going to be coordinating with the US as well as agencies within Canada to prevent the movement of the opioid. Apart from this, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had, remember, already said that if push comes to shove, Canada will impose reciprocal tariffs against US goods worth $155 billion, 25% tariff, and take this fight forward. For the moment, this fight has been paused, but the provinces in Canada were also ready to take on the fight, with the Ontario Premier, Doug Ford, saying that his province will snap ties with Elon Musk's Starlink, as well as saying that the government will not award any contracts to US agencies. The Quebec Premier had also said that the province of Quebec will also fight this fight with the US, and had said that the alcohol outlet SAQ will not be keeping any of the US products on its shelf henceforth. However, for the moment, it appears that the situation has been curtailed. That is, an all-out trade war between the two neighbors has been arrested for the time being, temporarily for 30 days. How things pan out post that remains to be seen, because US President Donald Trump is not only asking Canada to act against the movement of fentanyl against the border, but also the movement of illegal migrants against the border, apart from the fact that he also wants parity on trade, that is to reduce the trade deficit with Canada, especially, it appears, in the energy sector, where Canada has an upper hand.
And with that, we'll slip into a short break. More news and updates coming up on the other side.
From the mind that changed the world, a story untold until now. Discover the secrets, the struggles, the genius. Bill Gates lays it all bare in his new memoir.
What you say would today have been diagnosed as being the autism spectrum.
I still rock a bit, which is kind of characteristic. You know, I have to catch myself because it can make people nervous if I'm sitting doing that. So no, I don't think it ever goes away. It'd be harder to diagnose now.
Source Code. Uncover the man behind Microsoft. This is history. This is Gates, an NDTV exclusive.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
Joining us today is somebody whose journey in Indian cinema is almost parallel to independent India's journey. Almost 7-8 decades that she has acted, directed, censored Indian cinema. She has been a vital part, a vital cog of India's journey through all these 7-8 decades. Asha Parekh, welcome to NDTV.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Asha ji, you were part of the golden era of Indian cinema, worked with the best filmmakers, iconic actors. How do you look at your own journey?
Well, it's been a very long journey, and I enjoyed being where I was, and the adulation of the fans was.
Swasth India campaign has been a beacon of change. Since 2014, this initiative has transformed lives by promoting health awareness and sustainable living. Today, we bring you a special report from prestigious Jaipur Literature Festival, where the campaign is showcasing how powerful communication can build healthier communities. Take a look.
What was once overlooked has now taken center stage. At the Jaipur Literature Festival, a crucial dialogue took place that weaved together the threads of hygiene, sanitation, climate action and sustainable development. Topic that demand our immediate attention.
This is my 10th year in the Jaipur Literature Festival, and It All Banega Swasth India has been supporting it from last 1 decade now, and we have moved to the next decade. And most interesting bit is we were together in the room during our session, there was a time when there were around 10 to 12 people to listen to the stories on hygiene, sanitation, sustainability. We saw the room full today. The consciousness is increasing, and the result of this is basically there will be more stories, there will be more champions, there will be more advocates, there will be more activists, and we are creating more and more and more. We are a country of 1.4 billion population, and with all the efforts that we are putting here, it will far reach, and not just in India, because now we talk about one health and one world, which means anything what we are doing in India has a global impact on itself.
The Jaipur Literature Festival 2025. But today we're going to take this conversation beyond books. We're going to be talking about how we can shape a healthier and more sustainable future.
This is a forum which is wide and highly academic people
a lot of questioning people, like people who have sort of know the world, and they are not like myopic on knowledge like us, like only health, only this thing. Very broad-based knowledge. So I think that makes a huge difference. That when you speak to this audience, you used to know that you can't have a myopic speech giving. You have to talk about something which is more broad, and people understand much more than what they would say. Like we say, speaking to children is much more difficult than talking to adults, because children ask you questions which are impromptu. And when the session went on too well with very wonderful questions asked, you feel that you've really reached the audience, and that's a great satisfaction for me.
Children can be a big change actor. Like when we talk about the campaign against plastic bags, firecrackers, the wildlife, children have played a very instrumental role. We believe that once they inculcate good habits, they also push adults to do the same.
On the ground, It All Banega Swasth India volunteers are creating waves of change, introducing festival attendees to the innovative Hygieia app.
पब्लिक बहुत इंटरेस्ट ले रही है इसमें, जैसे उन लोगों को थोड़ा सा भी हेल्थ एंड हाइजीन के लिए बताया जाता है, बहुत इंटरेस्ट लेके वो लोग स्कैन कर रहे हैं, स्कैन नहीं हो रहा है तो बनेगा स्वस्थ इंडिया से सर्च कर रहे हैं, और काफ़ी अच्छा रेस्पॉन्स उनका आ रहा है।
पब्लिक का काफ़ी अच्छा रेस्पॉन्स रहा है, लोग पेज को फॉलो कर रहे हैं, प्रमोट भी कर रहे हैं, और आगे भी उसको प्रमोट करने के लिए वो स्कैनर लेके जा रहे हैं हमारे से कि हम भी इसको आगे प्रमोट करेंगे।
The Jaipur Literature Festival serves as a global crossroads where visionaries and changemakers converge. This vibrant platform amplifies our message, reaching diverse audiences with a crucial call to prioritize health, hygiene, and sustainability.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
Now we move on to the next category, which is the Youth Icon of the Year. And for this, मैं एक बार फिर से request करूँगी आशा पारेख जी का स्टेज पर आने के लिए, और साथ ही इनवाइट करेंगे मयंक अग्रवाल जी को, CEO Gallant Group of Industries, to join us on stage for this next category of awards.
Ananya Pandey.
Congratulations, Ananya. And Ananya Pandey, actor, is getting this award for her advocacy work on combating cyberbullying, growing achievements in the film industry, and strong influence on social media. And that's what makes Ananya Pandey NDTV Youth Icon of the Year 2024. She represents a blend of modern values, relatability, and a commitment to meaningful causes, which are essential qualities for inspiring today's youth.
Congratulations, very many
Thank
congratulations.
you. Thank
And
you.
Ananya, there are just a few questions for
Yes.
you. You've, diverse characters, and you've made a shift from big screen to OTT. Big superstars have done their shift. What is your opinion on that, and what's your next move?
Firstly, I just want to thank NDTV for this award. It's truly...
Over 200 Indians have been deported from the United States. The first of its kind operation to India. A US military aircraft deports migrants carrying 205 Indian nationals that deported from San Antonio in Texas at about 3 o'clock in the morning. Indian Standard Time. Prime Minister Modi likely to visit the United States next week, and wide-ranging talks with the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is expected. A dinner is also being finalized, and of course it is this visit that's coming out right after the visit to France by the Prime Minister. He's expected to be in the United States in Washington on the 12th of February. And the Prime Minister's reply on motion of thanks is expected at 5 o'clock in the Lok Sabha this evening. This after Rahul Gandhi rakes up the China storm, saying that the Prime Minister does not agree that there's incursion of the Chinese, but it is the army that disagrees with the Prime Minister's storm that he raked up yesterday. Less than 24 hours for crucial Delhi elections as the curtains on the campaign over to the voters now. And yesterday we saw 3 road rallies of Arvind Kejriwal along with Aatishi. On the other side, the BJP's big guns, 22 road rallies that were held in the national capital, while Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, sister of Rahul Gandhi, campaigning door to door as well in the Jangpura area of the national capital. And high humidity levels and low temperatures have led to fog in Chennai. People seen wearing sweaters, but that poor visibility has left to 9 flights being diverted, and major traffic delays, not just road delays, but also air traffic delays to the tune of 1.5 hours at the Chennai airport. Trump pauses Canada and Mexico tariffs. Tariffs paused within hours of each other. The pause is for the next 30 days. Very good morning. You're watching Harry TV 24/7. I'm Divya Vadla. We have a whole lot lined up for you, including a US military plane began deporting Indian migrants. This has been implemented by the US President Donald Trump and his hardline stance against an estimated 11 million undocumented migrants in the United States. This is the first deportation flight carrying over 200 Indian nationals, 205 to be precise, from the United States, marking the first of its kind operation to India. We have Vishnu joining us to get us more on this. Vishnu, this flight that departed from San Antonio in Texas at about 3 o'clock in the morning Indian Standard Time is expected to land in the national capital. More such flights are expected because from what we're hearing from our sources is there's a list of at least 18,000 Indians that has been drawn up.
So just as a point of clarification, it's not the first time that the United States has deported Indian illegal immigrants from the United States. They've done chartered flights in the past. Several thousand have been returned from America to India. What makes this, Divya, significant is that it's the first time that a military aircraft has been used by the Trump administration to do these deportations. This is significant because it indicates a sense of urgency by the US President Donald Trump. There is just a statement which has come in the last little while from the US Embassy in New Delhi, which says, and I quote, "The United States is vigorously enforcing its border, tightening immigration laws, and removing illegal migrants. These actions send a clear message: illegal migration is not worth the risk." Now, the passengers or the illegal migrants being brought back to India have all been verified. Now, this was something which the government of India was very keen to ensure, that the people coming back to India are in fact Indian nationals. And it's on the basis of that verification having been carried out that they did get onto this aircraft. It's a US Air Force aircraft, a C-17 transport. It'll be several hours before it makes its flight from Texas to India. And this, I believe, would be the first of several other flights. Now, I don't have a date or any further detail on when these next flights would be. But again, as the US statement quite clearly says, this is a priority for the United States in carrying out these deportations. They've carried out deportations with a handful of countries in South America and Central America as well. And I should add that this visit, or rather this aircraft with deportees, comes just a couple of days ahead of the visit of the Prime Minister to the United States.
Right. Vishnu, of course, the stance that, Donald Trump is taking, and this, of course, comes very close on the heels of that conversation that Donald Trump had with Prime Minister Modi, in which, Prime Minister Modi did say that India will do what is right when it comes to taking back illegal immigrants.
That's right. And I think that's the key point, that India, no doubt about the fact that, if they are Indian nationals, if they are in trouble in another part of the world, you are legally bound to take back your nationals, by every legal international norm. So that's something which has been happening. Several thousand have been deported from the United States in the last couple of years. Again, the urgency this time is that within days of Trump becoming president, they've been put on a US military aircraft. They're being sent back, but yes, they've been verified, presumably by those who've kept the Indian government in loop that, look, these are authentic Indian nationals. Prime Minister Modi has been very clear. The government of India has been very clear that, it is the right thing to do in taking back these nationals. How long this lasts, the exact number of Indian illegal migrants in America presently is something that needs to be looked at. But again, it is quite something that within days of President Trump becoming president of the United States again, you've got these Indian nationals put on a military transport, a US Air Force aircraft, right? We don't know if they're bound, if they're shackled or anything of that sort, and they've been sent back. In the past, as I mentioned, it was, a somewhat easier process. They were put on chartered aircraft. A military transport aircraft isn't quite the same way of traveling, but that's what's been done this time around.
Right, Vishnu, thank you so much for getting us all those details. We also have Ashok Sajanhar joining us to get us more on this, former ambassador. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking with us. When we talk about, the deportation flight, this is not the first time that Indians are being deported, like Vishnu just mentioned. Over 5,000 Indians were deported between 2018 and 2023, but never on a military aircraft in this manner. What do you make of the message that's being put out in bold and clear words?
I think the message is more, Divya, to the domestic constituency of President Trump and to the international community that Mr. Trump means business. Because you would recall that this was his, topmost priority as far as his campaign promises was concerned. In addition to trade, immigration, illegal immigration, and stopping that was his topmost priority. And that is what he has started without, missing a step. He's hit the ground running. That's what he had said, that he's going to deport the illegal migrants to wherever they have come from. There are a large number of them. And as you have mentioned, and as Vishnu also mentioned, this is not the first time that India is taking back these illegal migrants. So I think it is, in the normal course also this would have happened, but President Trump wants to show that this is a matter of priority, this is urgency. And that is why, very quickly this has been done, and also a military aircraft has been used. So I think this is sending out a message, but I don't think as far as the Prime Minister's visit is concerned, which is likely to take place from 12th to the 14th, that this is going to have any impact on that. I'm sure discussions on legal and illegal migration will take place during the Prime Minister's visit. But I don't think that this, or if there are any other similar deportations that take place over the coming days, that these will have any significant impact on the results of the visit, which I think is going to be a very positive one going forward. Divya.
Right. Sir, from what we're hearing and from what reports are emerging at the moment, that there's a list of 18,000 illegal migrants that have been identified. We're talking about Indian illegal migrants living in the United States. So this is just the first flight of over 200. We can expect more such flights. So, of course, the United States is vigorously enforcing its border, tightening its immigration laws, and, hell-bent on removing illegal migrants. What do you make of the relationship that India and the US will have this time around, given these strict actions that Donald Trump is taking as soon as he resumes office?
Yeah, that's right. I think there might be more flights coming in, but I think the number of 18,000, there is still a big question mark on that, because India has made it very clear that we would like to get, identification of all these illegal migrants confirmed before they are boarded. And definitely as far as these 205 deportees that are concerned, their nationality has been confirmed, it has been stated. So I think this is going to be a process. It's going to take some time. It's not as if all of them are going to come all at the same time. And, out of 18,000, what the number has been mentioned in the media, it could be, around that or maybe much less. We'll really have to wait and see. I don't think there is any finalization or any confirmation of the exact figure. So we'll really have to wait and see. But I think, as India has said, we are not in the business of sending illegal migrants to any part of the world, including the United States, and we are quite prepared to take them back. What we are interested in is sending legal migration, and that is what we have signed a large number of migration and mobility agreements with a large number of countries in the world. And of course, with the United States, where we have about 5 million Indian diaspora, both those who are stationed there as also Indian nationals who go there for temporary assignments. I think it is our intention to get this number growing and not in the area of illegal migrants. Devya.
Right, of course, this really comes about just before that visit of Prime Minister Modi to Washington, D.C. Like you mentioned, that's expected between the 12th and the 14th of this month. And of course, when we talk about that productive phone call that took place last Monday between the two leaders, in which, of course, Prime Minister Modi did talk about India taking back, illegal migrants and talking about skilled labor as far as finding opportunities in the United States is concerned. So that was the major focus in that conversation. And of course, a lot coming out and a lot expected from that visit of Prime Minister Modi. Thank you so much, Mr. Sajanhar, for joining us this morning. And let's just go across to my colleague Maria, who's joining us from the Parliament. Maria, another day of the budget session of the Parliament. What all is expected today, with the Prime Minister set to reply to the motion of thanks in the Lok Sabha later this evening?
That's right, and that is going to be certainly the big highlight. And what we are being told is that Rahul Gandhi has been told to, produce documents or substantiate the claims that he made on the floor of the House yesterday, when Leader of Opposition in fact spoke and questioned the government on multiple fronts. So having done that, will there be a rare view in Parliament when a Leader of Opposition is asked to substantiate or back his arguments with some, documentary evidence? Perhaps it'll be one of the first. Let's bring in Aishwarya now on this. Aishwarya, by when is Rahul Gandhi expected to submit those documents? And, what we were told initially yesterday was that all those points that was made by Rahul Gandhi, particularly with the context which saw, Dr. S. Jaishankar respond rather harshly, where he said that Rahul Gandhi is indulging in falsehood with regards to the inauguration invitation for Donald Trump's, swearing in. That is something that perhaps had the entire the Treasury benches fuming. So what all has Rahul Gandhi been told to back when he made, what are the points which needs substantiation?
Well, sources have clearly told us that there are two ways that the Treasury benches are going to corner Rahul Gandhi. Number one, politically, as there has been a list of 21 of the NDA MPs who would be speaking on the motion of thanks to the President's address. And the MPs have been told to correct Mr. Rahul Gandhi as far as his claims are concerned. Yesterday we saw there were several MPs, including Nishikant Dubey, who pointed at least 6 points that Rahul Gandhi had been incorrect and also demanded Rahul Gandhi to substantiate his claims. Number two, one of the MPs from the Bharatiya Janata Party or the NDA will submit a notice to the Lok Sabha Speaker and will ask the Speaker to give a ruling as far as Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi is concerned. Be it the claims on China, be it the claims on Maharashtra elections, be it the claims on sending the Foreign Minister to the United States for getting the invitation for the inauguration for the Prime Minister of India. Certainly, it would be very interesting to see when this will happen. But till now, what we have been told that nothing has been expunged from Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi's speech It will only happen with a due process in place. If there will be a ruling from the Lok Sabha Speaker, then only Rahul Gandhi will have to submit the claims, and if he fails to do so, then certainly his remarks could be expunged.